Okay.
And we are, the Zoom screen has changed. We are now recording the meeting. I was looking for how to turn on recording because the Zoom screen has changed. So welcome everyone to the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council Governing Board meeting of September 2nd, 2021. My name is Laura Myers and I am the president of UNNC, and I'm going to share my screen with our agenda. And if you can let me know if you can see the screen. Yes.
Are we going to do a roll call or not, Laura?
Yes. So I'm trying to get up the agenda item here, the agenda onto the screen. So yes, if you would not mind doing the roll call.
We can see your screen.
Thank you. And Teresa, if you can do a out loud roll call.
Okay. This is a roll call for attendance for today's meeting, September the 2nd, 2021. Jasmine Johnson.
Here.
Dorit Dowler Guerrero.
Here.
Dolores Spears.
Present.
Raheem Dawson.
Here.
Tyler Fife.
Present.
Charlie Papp. And that's excused, Laura?
Yes, she will be late.
Okay.
Who was that?
Charlie Papp.
Okay.
Paul King, he's also absent, Laura, is that excused?
He is on an airplane and will get here as soon as he can.
Okay.
You can we can decide later what really constitutes an excuse.
Okay. Carlos Carrick. Laura Myers.
Present.
Hugo Rodriguez. Paula Southern. Paula.
I'm here.
Carla Rowley. Isaac Diaz. Dennis Letsky. Hugh Moore. Teresa Masonette present. Michael Kimbrough. Chris Carlson. Greg Jackson.
Present.
Nancy Cruz.
Present.
Sarah Lacey.
Present.
Lizzie Moro Misato.
Present.
John Arnold.
Here.
We have 13 present and 9 absent.
All right.
Well,
So that's quorum.
yes, we would have 10 absent though. We'll figure it out. Okay, I'm bringing back the agenda. So sorry. And John, right now you're the co-host. I can't see
I got it.
if people are arriving. Okay, so the first order of business, aside from calling the meeting to order, is the approval of the agenda. I have been informed that we will not be having the discussion on branding tonight. So that would be tabled. So otherwise I would like to go through this agenda. We have meeting protocols, public comment, if any, of Council District 10 report, any other government officials and city agency reports, the report from Dunn, the board member training report, president's report. Executive committee has 2 matters, funding requests and the standing rules. Committee chair, co-chair, NC alliances, liaison reps appointments. Planning and zoning, the housing element update, which is draft comments. Again, item 12 has been tabled. And then item 13, treasurer's report, which includes, if we have one, a monthly expenditure report approval, any status updates to previously approved funding items, budget updates, reimbursement, budget adjustments for the fiscal year. And I see an error, which I'm not going to correct, but it's really fiscal year 2021. Oh, no, that's not an error. Sorry. 2020 through 20. It is an error. 2021 through 2022. Sorry. and the secretary's report minutes, any committee updates that are not on the agenda up ahead. So
I move to approve the agenda as amended with the tabled items.
I
Table-
second Lizzie.
Okay. Moved by John, seconded by Lizzie, that we approve the agenda as amended.
Or I'll do notes as well as I can in the.
Okay, so we don't do a BAC on this. I'm going to stop the share. We don't do a BAC. So for voting on this one, it's okay if we just do a raise your hand on video or raise your hand in reactions to approve. If only for board members. Okay. Okay, and is there anyone who disapproves? Take down your hands now. Me too. Okay, so it is approved. So the second item on the agenda is just brief meeting protocols, and then hopefully Nancy's prepared a discussion of the role of the parliamentarian, also brief. So our meeting protocols almost are very simple. Please raise your hand, do not just speak. Please treat everyone with respect. So in other words, follow a code of conduct, no cross-talking, no arguing. And everyone is invited to participate and raise your hand and speak on any and all of our items. So you're welcome to do that, but wait please till you are called. Right now, John is the co-host and he'll somewhat act as a moderator. Nancy is also, I haven't made her a co-host yet, sorry, but she is our parliamentarian, so she may also end up asking someone to follow the rules, and I'm going to let her, Nancy, if you're prepared. Dolores has her hand up, so before I move to Nancy, Dolores no longer has her hand.
No, so I'm going to lower people's hands when they be called on, so you don't have to do it. So yes, Dolores had her hand up and she
To speak now.
Can we, am I on? Yeah.
Yes.
Can we limit responses after their presentation to 2 minutes each? Or a minute?
I think we can limit to 1 minute each if it's a very crowded response. So I think we've set the times for each item as opposed to the times for each number of people speaking. So I think that's, we'll see it, but we do have a maximum of 2, but it might be 1 minute if it's a long, on any given item, if there's a lot of people who wish to speak. Okay, Nancy. Oh, look at that little one from Sandra. Nancy, are you able to address a little bit about the parliamentarian role?
Yes, so I was elected to be the parliamentarian at the last, I think, 2 meetings ago. So I'm going to operate under the old standing rules because we haven't approved any new standing rules. I think we might later today. So let me just, can I share my screen?
Yeah, hang on a sec. You're enabled.
Okay. Oh, there. Okay. I think it's this. There. Okay, great. Can you all see my screen? So
Yes.
the parliamentarian duties are set forth in the standing rules. I will be, making sure that we're moving forward, don't get bogged down, that the meetings end as close as possible to the scheduled time, which is, we'll see how that works. And then I have to be familiar with the bylaws and standing rules in order to help move the meeting forward. Currently under the standing rules, the presentations really should be a maximum of 5 minutes, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A, after which a motion has to be made whether to vote on the issue, to refer it back to a committee, to postpone deciding, or to modify the debate rules to extend time for discussion. At the meetings of the UNNC, each member shall be limited to 2 speeches of 2 minutes each per day on each item under debate. So I think that means that you can only speak twice for 2 minutes each per item. Okay, and then any member may ask for these rules to be enforced, and so you have to address to the chair that you want to do a point of order to follow the standing rules. Let's see, and then motions on debates on debate limits are undebatable and must be second, and then in order for them to be enforced, they have to be passed by 2/3 vote to take effect. So that means to extend the debate times, we need to pass a motion. Let's see. When a board member has the floor and asks a question, the chair may recognize a person to answer that question, and that person will have 1 minute to respond. And that response will not count against your speaking time, your 2 times per item. Let's see. And then any board member may make a motion to extend the amount of time for a presentation or alter the time limits for the debate at any time prior to the start of a presentation or item. It is recommended that such motions be made at the, when amending and approving the agenda. So now we know for the future. Okay, so that's all I have. I don't know how to. Okay.
So Nancy, if I may ask, what on this particular agenda, so it's a good example, we've set some longer times for a couple of the items and we've approved the agenda. So does that mean we don't have to do 5 minutes on the housing element in particular of presentation, since I'm clear it'll take more than that? Or will we need to extend the time at the beginning of that item?
I think maybe I would think that we would need to extend the time at that item, but if our UNNC rep can confirm that, because I think we have to create the agendas in accordance with our current standing rules.
John, and I know Nancy was asking Gibson, so which should take precedence, John's hand or Gibson answering?
I just want to make a suggestion to the board that we stick to the 5 minutes, and if we need an extension, we extend it with deliberately every single time versus having open time limits. So let's try to keep everything at 5 minutes until we can.
Yeah, I'm just saying that on this particular agenda item, we set the time as 25. Most items are 5 or 10 minutes total. So, okay, Gibson, did you have any thoughts on this?
For the public comment?
Well, no, I mean, what our standing rules, not yet amended, say that presentation should be 5 minutes. And then conversely, this agenda is like one of many where we've set different time limits for certain items, not all items. And
I think that it shouldn't be a problem to go over, even though it's stated in the standing rules, but the recommendation would be to make sure you make changes in your standing rules moving forward.
Okay. All right.
Teresa, you had your hand up momentarily. Did you want to say something?
No, yes, I did, but I don't want to comment. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Trust your hand, Lori.
Okay. So the gist of it is, you guys, we need to have an efficient meeting. We need to try and keep our presentations to 5 minutes and our discussion comments to each person 2 minutes or less, unless the chair says 1 minute or less, which she might if we're getting late in the meeting. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comments and announcements, 1 minute per person on any matter that is not on tonight's agenda, but is within UNNC's scope of interest. So, Brittany.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany, and I'm a neighbor and community organizer with the local group Redeemer Community Partnership. Typically, I go to the planning and zoning meetings as a learner, but I wanted to share a general update with UNNC at large regarding a health study that was looking at respiratory impacts of residents living near oil drilling sites, including Murphy, that's within UNNC's jurisdiction. Professor Jill Johnston at USC, along with Esperanza Housing, conducted a study with 1,000 residents living near Murphy and Allenco, and found a reduction in long-term lung capacity and some short-term respiratory impacts like wheezing and irritation. And so this is just kind of an indication that the precautions taken right now aren't necessarily super helpful for the health and safety of our neighbors. And the city is ordering a full review of operating conditions. And so we just hope to, continue learning and working with UNNC as this case unfolds. I recognize I just have 1 minute, so if it's all right, I'll just copy the study link into the chat, if that's okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you for your time.
I believe you'll be able to do that.
The next hand I saw was Lizzie.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to let you guys know, especially to our board members, but the invitation is extended to the whole community, all our stakeholders. On Saturday, September the 26th, we will have our Congress of Neighborhoods. On a typical year, we would attend City Hall, and we would attend all kinds of workshops regarding city matters and city services. There would be an exhibitor fair. There would be speakers. Usually the mayor speaks, and we have some other keynote speakers. This year, because of the pandemic, it will all be virtual. And as someone who has attended probably 3 or 4 congresses in the past, I highly encourage, especially our new board members, to attend. It will be via Zoom. There will be workshops on items such as voting by mail, equity, the city budget. There will be a workshop on the homeless situation, and as speakers, we will have the mayor, our city controller, his name Galperin, Ron Galperin. I believe Capri Maddox will also speak. So please save the date. Saturday, September 26th, starting at 9 a.m. and I will provide the link in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizzie. The next name I saw was Maria. Maria?
Oh, hi. Could y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hi. Good evening, board. My name is Maria Leonido. I work with Neighborhood Housing Services of Los Angeles County. For those folks who don't know who we are, we're essentially a nonprofit lender and community developer. Our main goal is helping families towards homeownership. And so we provide a lot of financial counseling and education, such as home buyer education. We also have affordable lending services, such as down payment assistance. We also help families with project management services if they're interested in making their homes ADA accessible or building an ADUs. We have, affordable loans available to them. Sorry, my dog is loud. And lastly, we do a lot of neighborhood revitalization work. And so I'll drop my information in the chat if you have any folks who are interested in any of our stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. The next name I saw was Sebastian.
Hey guys, I'm Sebastian Felbeck. I was kind of voluntold here this evening, but I live on 4th Avenue here in Jefferson Park, and I'm interested in the Rec and Parks Commission. Was looking for some information, been working with a few of the board members I understand it's gone kind of dormant, and I just am here to kind of reactivate it. I'm really interested in Benny Potter and Leslie Shaw in particular. So didn't see anything on parks particularly on the agenda. So just wanted to kind of highlight that. That's why I'm here. Wanted to push that onto the agenda and hopefully get some more information. But yeah, nice to meet you all, and I'm glad to be here.
John, I'm going to jump in just as a matter of information. Sebastian, that will be at about 8 o'clock on when we discuss committees.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it, Laura.
The next name I saw was Donna.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to bring forth the idea that our city's Building and Safety Committee, Building and Safety Department has not been functional, and we're hoping to get them to start work again very soon. It's a very important part of the city and our quality of life. So I've found that they aren't necessarily actually following up on anything. So just wanted to bring that forth. And also redistricting is happening all around in different districts. It was in the 10th district just this past week for those who attended. You're welcome to attend other hearings in other areas coming up very soon next week. It's wonderful, important, and try to jump in, find out what's going on, or make your feelings known. Thanks.
Thank you, Donna. The next hand was mine. I just want to let everyone know that we have a issue brewing in the southeast corner of Jefferson Park. The auto body shop at the corner of 30th and Western has become a nuisance on 29th, 30th, and 31st Streets. They are a muscle car, soup up auto body shop, and they test drive on our streets. They double park on the corner. They block the fire hydrant. They block the red zones. And so we are developing a committee to go speak to them, not officially, but to give them a heads up that they're officially, they're not officially, they're unofficially on UNNC's radar. And we hope if this becomes an issue that we will agendize it properly in the coming weeks. And that's it. Thanks. Next up was Dolores' name I saw next. Oh, you're muted, Dolores.
Okay. Donna spoke on it briefly about attending the redistricting meetings. This is very important. CD10 could be very well affected by the commission drawing new lines. I am reminding people that if you don't attend any of the hearings, you can go to laccrc2021.org and you can submit feedback and give your comments with regards to how you feel about CD10 being redistricted, with new lines drawn. The same thing goes for empowerla.org. You can go there and give some feedback on the previous election that we just had this past summer. I found there was a lot to be desired with how they handled this city clerk's office, how they handled the whole process. And I'm going to voice my concern in their feedback, and I suggest you do the same if you have some concerns about how that election process was handled. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. Could you post both any links that you have in the chat, please? I've teed you up with a comment.
Okay.
The next person can't raise her hand, but I'm going to call on her because she's been trying to. Jackie.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, John. My name is Jackie, and I'm representing Amazing Grace Conservatory. I came by to talk with you about some upcoming activities that we have that tie to the priorities of housing, specifically the goals 3 and 4 that talk about a livable, sustainable community and an inclusive community. We have several activities that are planned that highlight the Sugar Hill Arts District, and one includes hopefully the involvement with the Walk on Washington. We have an upcoming fashion show that will be held at USC Bing Theater, and ultimately the street festival. So what I'd like to do is to leave my information in the box, and I'm hoping to involve the community. It is not about us planning ideas or activities, but getting the insight and involvement of the community. The project focuses on all of the legends and icons and the history of the community. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Jackie. If you could post into the chat any links you want to share with the neighborhood, I've teed you up that you've commented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, John.
Thanks. And last hand I see is our president, Laura Myers.
Yes, thank you. So I have two things. One, today the city's Cultural Heritage Commission did take under consideration, that's a technical term, the potential historic cultural monument designation of the Paul Revere Williams, the architect Paul Williams' own house that he lived in for 30 years at 1271 West 35th Street, which is just east of UNNC, between Normandy and Vermont on 35th Street. So it's not designated yet, but it seemed to go very well. And I will say that hundreds of letters were sent to the city councilman and to the Cultural Heritage Commission, and nothing negative was said today. So I'm crossing fingers. Other thing is Curran Price and the Council District 9 is, last year they did this and they're doing it again this year. The Central Avenue Jazz Festival, which is an annual jazz festival, due to COVID has been changed to a virtual festival, and it will be next weekend, not the day after tomorrow, but I'm going to post this, but rather 3 nights, September 8th through 10th at 7 p.m. each night online at centralavjazzfest.com. And that just for your entertainment. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. And Donna has re-raised her hand. Donna.
Quickly, I forgot, or I wanted to add 1819 West Jefferson, the old House of Dimes, has exploded into a closet that all of us could go and get 40 pieces and take away. I don't know what kind of business it is, but I don't know, has anybody noticed it? But please take a look at that. It looks scary.
Okay.
So, can you clarify? So that's a comment on a business that's opened up, Donna?
1819,
West
the
Jefferson?
old House of Dimes on Jefferson. And it was, remember, closed because of drug sales. And now it seems someone has moved in who's a hoarder, and things are on the streets, in the alleyway, everywhere.
Okay.
And,
Thank you, Donna. That's all the hands I see, Laura.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is a Council District 10 report, if we have a representative from Council District 10. I'm not sure that we do. Okay. So moving on, the next item on the agenda, item 5 is other government officials and city agencies reports. And I know we have some folks on the call for that. So if you'll raise your hand, I see Daniel is here. I don't know if you have anything to report. And if you are representing any city agency or elected official, please introduce yourself and give us a little hello and update. So, okay, anybody? I know Daniel's here, but I don't see him raising his hand.
Hi. Sorry.
Okay. How are you?
Oh, good. You can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Just a quick few updates. The board has been on recess the past couple of weeks, so there hasn't been a lot of movement. But first, I do want to thank the board members that joined us for our neighborhood council convening with the supervisor earlier this month. I think it was a very good opportunity for the supervisor to meet everyone while it's not physical. But, virtually, I think it was good to hear what's going on with the neighborhood councils and the neighborhood. And we intend to make this an annual event. So hopefully, once we overcome COVID and the caseload, we'll be able to do this in a physical setting. So thank you.
Thank you.
Second, with federal unemployment benefits winding down, I think September 4th is the last day. I just wanted to remind folks that the county still has services, especially for folks heavily impacted by COVID. We have CalFresh, CalWorks, Medi-Cal. There's cash assistance programs that we offer. So I encourage folks who need assistance, please visit benefitscal, CAL.org, benefitscal.org. It's a portal to take you and sign up for the benefits that you may require. And third, we're still working through some of our American Rescue Plan dollars. The folks that were on the call, the supervisor had talked about how COVID had hit some communities harder than others. And so we want to make sure that these funds are spread out in a more equitable way. Build back. And one of the things that we're addressing with that is the issue of the digital divide. It's been affecting families and students heavily. And so we've asked the county department to look into a block-by-block assessment to see what the actual barriers are, whether it's just the lack of service or the cost for these families, and how we can address that. And once I get a clearer picture of where the dollars are going, I'll be more than happy to share that with everyone. But besides that, that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Naomi, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Naomi. I am one of the newer field reps for Senator Sidney Kamlager of the 30th District. And I just briefly wanted to introduce myself and say hello to everyone. I also wanted to just give a few broad updates and let everyone know that among the services that we provide, we've also been working very closely with constituents who are having troubles with their EDD. So if you know anyone who's having troubles with their unemployment insurance and trying to get some movement on that, we've been able to help folks little by little and try to get some answers on what's going on there. We've also been able to help folks who have just had slower processing times on DMV related issues. So we're able to assist there. And then as session comes to an end, the senator will be in the district a lot more and able to attend different events and whatnot. Just yesterday, we received word that AB 333 passed off the floor, and that was a bill that we were really looking forward to. And then AB 369, which entailed street medicine and bringing medicine to the streets, had also passed as well. So we're super excited about that. And yeah, other than that, I'm available by email if anyone has any questions. My issue areas are K through 12 education, social services, the environment, which has been a hot button topic as we've seen the natural disasters taking place across the country, and then as well seniors and then disability. So nice to meet everyone.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other city departments, agencies, or government officials, reps here who wish to speak? Seeing none, other than Gibson, because he's the next item on the agenda, which would be the done report. If there is a done report.
I just want to give a friendly reminder to everybody. Civic U is back. So after a hiatus during the pandemic. Civic U for neighborhood councils is back. Civic U provides a tool for neighborhood councils to understand the city government and how to influence policy in City Hall. We've been holding Civic U since 2015, and we've had over 500 people who have participated in it. It's going to be it's a collaboration with the mayor's office and Cal State LA's Pat Brown Institute. And this year we've been asking our boards to take action to appoint board members for the Civic U, which will be happening on September 9th, September 23rd, September 30th. All those are Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. For this board, I do know up to
Gibson, we did vote on that last month.
I haven't seen everybody register. Still have.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
That's
so
why
I'll send a reminder to those we appointed.
It's only one person on my list right now. 2 people have registered, so we still have 2 more slots. And as it was already mentioned, that yesterday we had our first election feedback. I mean, not our first, but we definitely had an election feedback yesterday. Also, just want to let everybody know that we have the empowerment virtual governance work group that we are trying to figure out how to develop a hybrid model. So we've been building a work group, and there will be a presentation down the line in regards to that as well. Also, the code of conduct has been released by the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. The department is seeking to make updates to the code of conduct. I'll send a follow-up email tonight so folks can take a look at it in regards to those. So we are trying to figure out, how does a hybrid model look like? How do we get folks who want to stay home to participate? We're still following up on state legislation that will provide and streamline the process of having virtual meetings. And so we want to make sure that we also being able to abide by what state law will mandate us. But it's something that we are working on. It's something that we're considering, even though meetings are going to still be virtual until the end of the year. We want to come up with a good model to where we'll be able to incorporate and empower folks, stakeholders who want to stay at home, but also who want to participate in public meetings. So it's something that it's an ongoing process. So I just want to give everybody an update about that.
Okay. Does anybody, not that I want this to affect our time frame, but does anyone have any questions for Gibson? Okay. The next item on the agenda, and I don't know who's doing this, is the board member training report. That's either Greg or Dolores. Who's doing? And Dolores, you're mute. Well, both of you are muted.
Yeah, that's me. Okay. Everybody seems to be up to date with the exception of a couple of folks. We have 1, 2, 3. 4 or 5 board members that need to update. I got email from one of the board members that said that they were going to have it done by the meeting. I have not heard from that person as of yet. And then we had an issue with 2 board members where they had taken the training, the code of conduct training, but there was some sort of discrepancy, and I've interacted with Dunn and gotten back to the 2 board members, and they have agreed to take the test, take the training over again. And they said that they have already completed that, but I'm waiting on a copy of their certificates. That's it. Okay. Unless you want names.
Greg has his hand up, so we'll find out. Do you want us to say the names, Greg?
Well, the issue is that when it comes to voting on any funding items, then I will have to say those individuals are ineligible. So
right.
So we might as well just say the name so I can make sure the record is correct.
Okay. Raheem was supposed to have completed his ethics training. Raheem, have you done that?
No, I have not.
Wow. Okay, and then is it official that Isaac has resigned?
Isaac?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, he's in the red for all 3 trainings.
Right. Actually, let me just interrupt. Gibson, has Dunn reached out on the code of conduct for Isaac? Has he been suspended?
I don't have that answer just yet. I've just been
Okay.
catching up because I was out the past 2 weeks.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll catch that up.
So Dolores, I have Charlie, Carlos.
Wait. They're not in now. Carlos Couric.
No.
He's in the. He's in
Charlie.
Huh?
Carlos. Charlie. Carla. Isaac, you just mentioned, and then there's the issue with Hugo,
right?
No, with
not with Hugo, with Hugh.
With Hugh.
Okay, I've got Hugh needs to take his ethics. Carlos Couric needs to take ethics, and Isaac needs to take all 3. And I mentioned Raheem, and Lizzie is up to date.
Right,
Lizzie? Lizzie?
She's up to date. She's up to date.
Okay.
Yes.
And I have Carla.
And John. John is up to date.
Right. Do you also have Carla?
Yes.
I don't have anything on her. The last time I looked, she was not up to date.
Okay, and then Charlie.
Right. I think that
So
all of
6.
these are correct. So
right.
Of these folks, the only one who's here is Raheem in terms of voting tonight. Charlie will arrive, and then we'll just remind her that she can't vote on the funding matters either.
Okay.
And I sent an email to all parties concerned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the president's report. I'm going to be able to keep this very quick because it seemingly was already covered. I and Dolores and others attended the CD10 redistricting hearing, and it was interesting. A lot of our neighbors were there and testified. Dolores already gave you her impression. There were two things of interest to me and to a lot of people. One was a repeated request, the majority of the speakers, about making a single council district for the combination of, Koreatown, the Bangladeshi, Korean, and Latino folks who live between Vermont and Wilton Place, and sort of a 3rd to 6th Street on the south, and I think it was Beverly on the north, essentially a 100,000 person section or clump, and they would like to all be in a single council district. Right now they're divided between 4 council districts. So then the question comes up, if that happens, will CD10, how will that impact CD10? The other big theme was keeping current neighborhood councils as best they can together in a single district. So, in UNNC's case, it'd be CD10. This is all over town. So the only question I have for the board is, do we want to quickly pass a motion that would allow Dolores or myself or both to send a letter into the redistricting commission requesting that UNNC be kept together in a single council district, and that our preference is that it be Council District 10. Am I summarizing that good enough, Dolores?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I see a thumbs up, but do we have any comments or a person to make that motion?
Move to whatever that was you said.
You're saying so moved?
And I second it, Lizzie.
Okay, wait, well, hang on. So I guess I better write this down.
Laura, I'm typing. So
You're
just-
typing it, John? Okay.
Can you?
I can. Dolores moves, and I'm sorry, I just lost the second. Was it Lizzie?
Lizzie.
Right, and Lizzie seconds that UNNC requests of the redistricting commission that UNNC stay in a single council district, and that our preference is that it be Council District 10. And if we do vote, we do need to do a BAC, Teresa, if we're going to do this.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and call it now, Laura?
Yes, please.
Okay. Jasmine Johnson.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Nancy has her hand up. I'm so sorry.
So I guess, does this request counter any other requests from the neighborhoods in connection with what their desires are?
Not at this hearing. I have, well, you know, there's been multiple hearings, so we only went to the one.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I think it's consistently been discussed to attempt to keep the neighborhood councils in single council districts, because apparently the redistricting commission has established that as one of their goals and objectives, but it may not be the highest. I mean, their highest goal and objective is to create council districts that are equal in number, right? So they all have to be around 270,000 people based on the newest census results. And another key thing is not to divide communities of interest, and they're busily trying to now define what is a community of interest. But they have already sort of determined that neighborhood councils are one kind of communities of interest.
Dolores has her hand up.
Yeah, I was looking, let me check this down. I was looking for my notes. There was one community, it was a Korean community, or K-Town as they refer to themselves, were quite active at this hearing. They had about 30 people that gave comments, and they have submitted a map of what they want, as for they want to be their own district. And I think it goes up to the north. I think it was Beverly, and to the south it was 11th. To the west it was Wilton. Wilton. And then to the east was Vermont.
Right.
So it was a sizable chunk that they wanted carved out for specifically for Koreatown. And I was quite surprised to learn that Koreatown was divided up into like about 3 or 4 sections. And so I could understand their concern, but I just want to people to understand that how CD10 could be affected by that.
Okay, Lizzie, then. Okay.
Just wanted to comment that I remember when Dolores made her comment at the hearing regarding keeping our neighborhood councils as a whole. They said they were listening to that concern, and that it was a high priority for them. So, is that?
Oh, I did ask the question how the drawing the new lines would affect our neighborhood councils as well.
Right.
So that could be an issue.
Dorit.
Although it would be nice to have the neighborhood council stay in one council district, my former neighborhood council was in 2 districts, and it did not bother us at all. In fact, it was really kind of cool to play the council members against each other. I think it's far more important for redistricting to keep communities together and to, communities together, and to not have such bizarrely drawn districts like Council District 4. That is bananas. If you ever look at a map, the way that thing is all divided up. So I think it's far more important to make the council district maps make more sense and to keep communities together. And then if we can keep neighborhood councils in one, that's okay, that's cool. But to me, it should not be a priority. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thanks.
Okay, can we call the question because we're way behind schedule once again?
What question?
Well, I can't call the question. I mean, I can say let's vote, but is it all right with everybody?
Yeah, let's vote.
Do it.
Oh, question.
Okay, you could, anybody but me can call the question. The question has been called. Okay, so let's vote. Teresa, if you'll.
Okay. Yes, I'm ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Jasmine Johnson. Would you like, do we need to read the motion again, Jasmine? Or
the motion is to that UNNC requests that the redistricting commission keep UNNC in one council district, and that district be Council District 10.
Jasmine Johnson.
Yes.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit?
No.
Dorit is a no. Dolores Spears?
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. Raheem Dawson?
No.
Raheem is a no. Tyler Fife?
No.
Tyler is a no. Charlie Papp is absent. Paul King is absent. Carlos is absent. Laura Myers?
Yes.
Laura is a yes. Hugo Rodriguez is absent. Paula Southern?
Yes.
Paula is a yes. Carla is absent. Isaac Diaz is absent. Dennis Letsky?
No.
Dennis is no. Hugh Moore is absent. Teresa Masonette is a yes. Michael Kimbrough is absent. Chris Carlson? Chris, did she call in?
No.
No. Chris is absent. Gregory Jackson?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy Cruz?
No.
Nancy is a no. Sarah Lacey?
No.
Sarah is a no. Lizzie Morositato? Shit.
Yes.
Sorry, Lizzie.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries.
Okay. And John Arnold?
Yes.
John is a yes. That's 7. The motion passes 7.
I count. I have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 8.
Oh, sorry. I have Carlos Mar twice. Sorry.
8 yes. How many no's?
No, there's a lot more no's. Have 8 yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 no's. Motion still passes. Does that comport with what you have, Teresa?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, Laura. I have 7. I'm using a new program here, so I'm
right. Okay, this is a good test. We've got as yes, Jasmine, Dolores, Laura, Paula.
No, Dolores was a no. Oh no, sorry. Yes, Dolores was a yes. Go ahead.
Okay, Jasmine, Dolores, Laura, Paula, Teresa, Greg, Lizzie, and John were all yes, which is 8.
That's correct.
And then no's were Dorit, Raheem, Taylor, Dennis, Nancy, and Sarah.
That's correct.
6. Okay. All right. Next item. Executive Committee. Dolores, can you run Executive Committee sections, please?
Oh.
If you're able, and if not, I'll turn, because there's two items, funding request and standing rule. If not, I can just turn funding request over to Greg and standing rules over to Nancy.
Why don't you do that? I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Okay, so Greg, you're up, and I'm gonna enable you to share. And I know Sandra's here. I think I know Sandra's here. And you're muted. Craig, you're muted.
Okay, I'm pulling up a document. Stand by. Okay, so Sandra, you want to share the NPG that you're presenting to us tonight?
Oh, yes. Hi, guys. Sorry I can't show my face right now. I'm multitasking with the baby. Okay, I feel it's important for me to explain how and why Sons Matter was created. In 2009, my then 26-year-old son, Jarrell, was murdered in a drive-by, which led me to start community meetings in my home. We initially wanted to be named Jefferson Park United. The neighbors and I worked feverishly to have Leslie Shaw Park renovated after 40 years and 3 active years of campaigning for the renovations. What I learned in that process was the importance of community relationships. The neighbors suggested I join UNNC. For 7 years while on the board, the businesses, preschool, churches, and I have partnered to host a holiday toy drive in Jefferson Park. At a recent meeting, I was taken out of context as saying I didn't want to work with other neighborhoods, which could be mistaken as a bad thing. When in fact, my point was to say building relationships within Jefferson Park should be emphasized and respected. For several years, while I was on the board as an at-large rep, a Jefferson Park regional rep, and secretary, I gained the trust and respect from the community. After finding out my neighbors on either side of me, one across the street from me had attempted home break-ins within a 72-hour period, I started the Jefferson Park safety meetings to bring the community together to discuss, learn, and work on issues that concern our quality of life. I have worked with the community on several projects to help build relationships. The Friends of Jefferson Branch Library and I worked together to replace the film on the library windows, a project which John Arnold was a part of well before I came on board. Trinity Baptist Church and I worked together to have the Jefferson Boulevard arch light repaired. Holy Name of Jesus and I worked together to get them some basketball hoops. The Girl Scouts and I worked together to have the pedestrian signal light put up at Jefferson Boulevard and 3rd Avenue. At this event, it brought out the president of the Girl Scouts, and one of our Girl Scouts, Gwen, was given the highest medal for civic engagement. Several neighbors and I right now are working on together on a group called the Jefferson Park Beautification Project to get a bid, which is a business improvement district for Jefferson Boulevard. New Building Blocks Preschool and I work together to organize grab and go summer lunches in Leslie Shaw Park. And most recently, I worked with Rex and Parks to give Leslie Shaw Park some much needed care for the National Night Out, which was a success. And I'd like to put a bullet point there. The Friends of Jefferson Branch Library, Volunteers of America, and Food for Less, we all came together to put this event on in 4 weeks. Councilman Mark Willie Thomas came out with his photographer, and Kamani Black was there. The community ate pizza, danced along with the DJ, and watched the movie. The community was so pleased that they told me that they would like to have more movies in the park. Okay, I also have worked with the 6th Avenue Elementary School for an event that's called a Walk to School Day. And on this particular day, none of the kids came to the office with disruptive behavior, and the teachers attributed that to the event. And the following year, they asked me to, do another school walk to school day. Okay, I also pass out food every Thursday with Westminster Presbyterian Church. For the 7 years that I have hosted the Holiday Toy Drive, UNNC would fund it. I would either come under budget or right at the budgeted amount with receipts. Now, moving forward, I would like to continue serving the community with events and projects that I feel build relationships and not cause division. And one way I find it as, you know, a good method of doing that is through events and projects, you know, that allow and the environment that allow the old members and new members in the area to come together to be the united neighborhoods that represent UNNC. So I would like to ask the board for $1,000 to continue to serve the community during this holiday season.
Okay, she stuck the landing, less than 5 minutes. So great.
So Sandra, can you, because I wasn't scrolling down, can you, I think what you just shared was like item 4 and item 5, that was the overview. Can you now go into the details of item 6A and 6B, and then 8, etc.?
The toys. So the $1,000, because I initially wanted to ask for more, but at the other meeting, at the executive meeting, I was told that we should do it. I should ask for $1,000. So a DJ costs $500, and buying toys for the community would be $500. Friends of Jefferson. So what I have done in the past, after I mentioned all of this, I get donations from Sons Matter gets donations, and I put those together for whatever is needed to be paid for. For instance, at the event for National Night Out, Food for Less gave me gift cards, and I used that towards the paper plates, paper goods. Volunteers of America donated gift grab bags and also these little glow-in-the-dark items. So Friends of the Jefferson Branch Library donated $100, and I used that towards the insurance. So what I do is, and then my nonprofit paid for the DJ as well as the pizzas. We had so many pizzas. I think I ordered like 75 pizzas, vegetarian cheese, and pepperoni, that each family was able to have an entire box to themselves, and we had more to pass out. So
it was an awesome night, by the way. I'm chiming in. I'm unmuting. It was a rad night. I was there. I helped you set up the easy ups. It was really cool.
Yes, the tents, the pop-up tents. Yes.
That's right.
So, like I said, okay, so then the funding sources, like Jefferson, the Friends of the Library will give $100, and Volunteers of America will more than likely give me gift cards and or money towards the event.
Okay.
Laura, should we open up the floor for 5 minutes of questions?
Yeah, Greg, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just want her to go through the entire presentation. So do you want me to go first with my?
Well, I guess we start by saying the executive committee did vote to move this forward to the governing board, but it's a recommendation, not a final decision. And then Greg has things to discuss. So he would be the first person discussing, and then anyone else who has things to say can raise their hands, please.
Okay. All right. Sandra, can you talk about the total cost of the event? The estimate, I know this is just an estimate, the total cost for and I'm using the word event loosely which you said project, for the project. And then we can see the percentage of what you're asking from UNC. So the total cost for this project. Estimate.
2,500.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then we just had a few technical things that we need to go over, like for example, having your secretary sign it at the bottom, and then we just need that. And then you already mentioned your partners, the Volunteers of America, and Friends of Jefferson would also contribute. So that's it for me. So that's it for me for right now.
Okay. Does anyone who wishes to comment or ask a question, which please raise your hand. And then I do see somebody's here from the Jefferson Library, and I don't know if you're here for this, but you know, if you are anyone who's having trouble raising their hand, you can put a note in the chat that you're having trouble raising the hand, and we can call on you anyway.
Can I stop sharing? We need to see
yes,
the document
please.
more.
Thank you. So well, if nobody has anything to say, I have something to. Well, Winnie, did you have something to say?
Yes, I'm just slow in getting my hand raised.
Oh, that's okay. Winnie, go ahead. Thank you.
I just wanted to, as I said in my chat message, I'm here in support of Sandra's event. As she stated, she's held this event for several years, along with other projects that she successfully completed in the Jefferson Park community. And I strongly support what she is doing. It is positive, and also, as we all would like to have, it brings community together in a positive way. So I hope that the board will grant the funds necessary to hold this event. Thank you for letting me speak at your meeting.
Okay. Teresa.
Thank you, Laura. I'd like to make the motion that we allocate $1,000 to Sons Matter for the holiday toy drive in Jefferson Park.
Okay, so Teresa moves. Is there a second?
Dorit seconds. Oh, unless somebody else wanted to do it. Sorry.
Leonard, go ahead, Dorit.
Thank you.
So Dorit seconds. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any? I will have a question, but is there any other comments or questions? Okay, I have a question for Gibson, not for Greg and not for Sandra. I had thought that we need to, is Gibson still here?
Still here.
Okay. Are we allowed to quote fund an event, or do we have put this in as an NPG to fund the organization, which in turn is going to produce an event? Will that be sufficient in COVID? If you know.
There is exceptions to it. Funding events is feasible. It's just that the city clerk will have sort of specifics in regards to board members participating. Are we following COVID guidelines in regards to that?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's why Greg also had his hand up.
Yeah, our part, Laura, Madam President, would be if we are participating in the event. Since we, as city reps, we're not participating in the event, then we're good, because our part is maybe we might, we're providing money to get toys for distribution. So yeah, so I did have that conversation with our funding people.
Perfect.
Last week.
So I have a question about I should raise my hand.
Yeah, sorry, Sandra, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I can't find it.
Well, I wouldn't have mattered because I wouldn't have been able to see it anyway. So go ahead.
So when we say UNNC is not participating, but no volunteering, is that what that participating means?
Go ahead, Greg.
Okay. Sandra, recall how Lizzie encouraged everyone to participate in the movie event, right? So we could come there, it's like citizens, community members, and go and participate, but it's not a formal UNNC presence being there to set up and distribute things. So we could come as members.
So no volunteering is what I asked. So no.
No, we can volunteer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sandra, it'd be kind of like no volunteering without a mask. In other words, we need to follow COVID protocols. So when So when we did our election outreach in conjunction with an Arlington Heights event, right before the neighborhood council elections, we you may have seen the photos. We had the not just masks but the face shields, which we wouldn't need to do, I don't think, going forward. But this is not our event.
Dolores has her hand up.
Dolores.
Sandra, I think what they're trying to say.
Yep, you went mute, Dolores. Dolores, yeah.
We can volunteer as community residents. We cannot participate as representatives of UNNC. Is that what you're trying to get?
Yes.
Trying to get across?
Okay, got it.
Right. Exactly. And we may, depending on what the clerk says, we may need to give up our rights to publicity. Meaning we may not have a logo, but we've got, this is 3 months out. So this is one reason we wanted to do it early. Okay, so we're sort of making an assumption that how the vote's going to go. And we should not make that assumption. We should see if anybody else has questions or comments, and if seeing none, we should vote.
Yeah, I think we've already passed the 5-minute mark.
Right.
Way past.
Let's vote. Way past it.
I'm going to call the roll, and let's see if my new software will work with me on this. Jasmine. Jasmine available?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, Jasmine is a yes. Dorit?
A big ol' yes.
Dorit is a yes. Dolores?
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. Raheem?
Yes.
Raheem is a yes.
No, he's
Taylor?
ineligible. He's ineligible.
Oh, because this is funding?
Yes.
Okay. Taylor?
Yes.
Taylor is a yes. Charlie, I believe I saw Charlie. Is she eligible?
She is ineligible but present.
Right.
Oh.
Okay. Carlos is absent. Paul is absent. Laura?
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Hugo is absent. Paula?
Yeah.
Paula's a yes. Carla is absent. Isaac is absent. Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Hugh is absent. Teresa is a yes. Michael is absent. Chris is absent. Greg?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy is a yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah's a yes. Lizzie?
A very enthusiastic yes.
Lizzie is a yes. And John?
Yes.
John is a yes. I have 13 yeses.
Yep.
And zero no's.
Sweet.
So the motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. So next item, Nancy, are we prepared to discuss the standing rules again?
I don't think so. I can't seem to find it on my system.
Well, I do have it, but but it's up to you if we're prepared to do it. The reason we put it on the agenda is that flexibility item on committee chair, which committees are around or not. So that was my key reason. But if you're not prepared, just let me know, because I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, of course, that just put you on the spot. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think we should just go through it, even if we're not going to make a decision, because I know
Okay, so I do have it. Let me pull it up.
Okay.
And this is the draft that was labeled June 23. So I think this is the most recent. Can everybody see my screen? Can anybody?
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
Okay, got it. Okay, actually I did find it. Okay, let me go.
Okay, so Nancy, since we have some new people here, not a lot, but a few, probably you should say why we're looking at this, and then I can just scroll through with you.
Okay, sounds good. So one of the reasons that we're looking to go through this is because our standing rules were last updated in 2015, and so they do not reflect the way that we conduct business now. For example, as Laura mentioned, the standing rules limit presentations to 5 minutes, but many times the executive committee extends that time. And so we've considered giving the executive committee that authority to extend time for presentations when they foresee that a presentation will last longer than 5 minutes, or the discussion time will be longer than 5 minutes. We're also updating it to reflect the training requirements by DUN. Previously, they only required ethics, funding, and the code of conduct, but over time they are considering expanding that. So we want to expand the language under training to cover all trainings required by DUN and not necessarily specify the ones that we want individuals to complete. We also want to make clear what the expectations are for the resident region reps and the at-large board members. In the old standing rules, it was drafted in the negative, but I think we want to draft it in the positive to specify what they should be doing, not necessarily that they're not necessarily explaining what the consequences, only focusing on the consequences of them not doing something. And then we also wanted to clarify the standing committees. The standing committees are listed in the standing rules, and under our bylaws, we have to run all the standing committees that are listed in our standing rules. However, each year it depends, whether there's interest on a particular standing committee. So we want to give the board flexibility each year to determine which standing committees they want to have, and but enabling them, if someone stands up and wants to run another committee that perhaps maybe at the beginning of the fiscal year no one wanted to run, they will have that flexibility to do so. There's been, I think, a period of time where we have standing committees that were required to operate under the standing rules, but no one to run those committees. We also wanted to specify more specifically what the responsibilities are for the committee chairs in the standing rules, and then be more prescriptive around the agendas and when committees and the governing board should submit the draft agendas to the executive committee. And then the last item was around social media. There's been a push, I think, at DUN to come up with social media policies. So we've added that to the standing rules, that the board will work to come up to develop and establish a social media policy. We also have a very active communications committee, so we wanted to give them the responsibility to be in charge of the social media accounts. And while they will be responsible, we want to also make sure that the president and secretary of the board have access to the user and account passwords for all social media accounts and any accounts that have the UNNC name.
Okay. So Nancy, so I'm still stuck on the first page. Should I scroll through now? Because we also reorganized it a little, right?
Yes, we did. So the main change was that the code of policy used to be at the back and we moved it to the front so that it's front and center. And then it used to be more bullet points, and I think now it's more paragraph form as well. And we added a purpose statement at the beginning as well.
Right. Okay, so this code of civility is pretty much what was at the back, but it's now at the front. And then, okay, so here we go.
Parliamentarian. And it's a standard UNNC language, yes.
Right, and the parliamentarian language didn't change, correct?
it just became more flexible. So instead of one parliamentarian, it gives you the option of more than one. Because technically the parliamentarian should attend both governing board meetings and
executive
committee meetings.
Okay. So, and then the next one is this conduct of meetings. I think A, B, C, and D did not change, right?
Well, A changed in that it now gives the executive committee the ability to override the 5-minute limit.
Ah, thank you, yes. So that would be, I think this is a PDF, so I can't really highlight it, but for those looking at it, it'd be this section.
Unless otherwise. Yes.
Right. And then I think we added, right, and then we added that new number letter F at the top of page 3. Basically for the last quite a few years, we had made a decision somehow that, but we've been practicing this, that motions that are recommended by a committee are the motions that are presented to the board, and the board may vote no, but we were trying to avoid somebody raising their hand and pushing in a motion that wasn't the motion of the committee. So some years ago, we apparently casually, as opposed to in the standing rules, adopted a procedure where if a committee has got a motion, that they get to make the motion, be it planning and zoning or executive, whoever. So that's the F. But it still requires a second. So sometimes you'll see on the agendas, and sometimes you'll just hear that planning and zoning is a good example. The planning and zoning committee moves, and it'll be John or I who makes the motion, but we cannot second ourselves. It requires somebody else. Should we move on?
Yes.
I can't see if anybody has hands raised because I'm sharing.
No hands are raised.
Okay. So, and then the next item is training. And then Greg had something to say, but Nancy, can you explain how we came to this? And then Greg has an alternative thing to suggest.
Yes, so as I mentioned, we made it just to specify that all training required by Don is required to be completed within 4 months of being seated on the UNNC governing board. And then if a board member does not complete that required training within 6 months, then we can remove that, or the executive committee can begin the process of removing that board member. So this language, the 4 months and the 6 months timing, that comes from the bylaws. So we have to amend the bylaws if we want to change the timing requirements. So we have to, when revising this provision, you just have to also take into consideration the bylaws. And as I mentioned in the training in the retreat, to amend the bylaws, John has to open, I think, the amending period.
Right. So Dunn has opened the amending period, but it's still be a long haul. Greg, your proposal is?
Okay, let me pull it up.
Well, yeah, if you'll just say it out loud though, because I can't share 2 screens.
So the 4 month and 6 months is an extremely long time to allow someone to complete the training. So I'm proposing that we align our training requirements to be more in line with what is on the Dunn training website, and that they give them 2 months to complete the training. And so that proposal has been submitted, and we want to add that to this. And in the exec committee, one of the things that we were talking about is, does it need to be in the bylaws, or does it need to be in the standing rules? Can we put it into effect if we modify it in the standing rules for this year, or do we need to wait until it's formally changed in the bylaws? But the main point is that having someone on the board for 6 months or 4 months where they cannot effectively vote on, let's say, for example, funding items, that person is not fulfilling their obligations. And so the proposal is that they should have 2 months to complete all of their training. And Madam President, Madam Vice President, and I will help them to move forward with their training so that they can meet those requirements. So shorten it to 2 months, 4 months, or 6 months. And then the discussion of, is it the standing rules or the bylaws, and or both?
Right. Can I just ask Gibson if he's still here? Because again, I can't really see who's here.
Yes.
Does Dunn have its own number of months by which training must be completed for a board member not to be dismissed?
The first one, that's a question for me, right? I just want to make sure I'm not interrupting anybody.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The first one is whenever the new board member is, it says it's within the first 30 days you're required to do it. And then you have the next 30 to finish, to make sure you complete the code of conduct is usually your first and main important one that we always emphasize to get completed. That's why a lot of folks are running into issues, is because within the first 60 to 90 days, folks don't finish their code of conduct. And that's why we've been emphasizing that once you're a new board member, get it done in 30 days. If not, you will be removed for the code of conduct, because that's the main one that enables us to make sure that everybody's functioning within the neighborhood council system. That's why the suspension letters go out. That's why the warnings go out. But also that's why we try to follow up to make sure everybody has their funding and ethics training. But when you first, code of conduct is always the most important one.
Okay. So, and you're about to add 1 or 2 and 2.5, the planning 101. You're adding more training. So again, is there going to be? Does Dunn have an anticipation of every single board member when they add the diversity and bias, anti-bias? I mean, whatever it's going to ultimately be called. The first round will be X number of days, and we're just going to have to do it. But then after that, is there a time period Dunn has in mind? Because in other words, if we amend the standing rules to be a little more strict and just reference that they're stricter than the bylaws, maybe we can get away with that. And then we later amend our bylaws, but it doesn't match what Dunn's expectation is, then which thing?
Just keeping it in the standing rule makes sense, but also I think one thing is, as changes are consistently happening within the neighborhood council system, as you'd mentioned, so the planning 101 requirement is coming down the pipeline. I definitely know there'll be a notification that'll be going out in the next few days. I'm hoping it's either tomorrow or first thing next week. Just make sure everybody checks their email, because I'll make sure folks are notified, especially those who need to do the planning 101. I would just say, putting it to where asking the board members complete the required trainings and then go from there, right? If you want to minimize the timeline, you could, but one thing that I recognize is still issues of folks having access to the platform. So that's why I'm also scheduling Zoom calls to see what everybody is having a problem trying to log into with our admin team. So sometimes you got to take the extra step, but also understanding one thing that we also want to incorporate and understand is folks who are who've informed the department that they have a disability in terms of accessing platforms, especially doing it online. There's definitely accommodations that we can definitely work through, especially folks who've vocalized that. And so it's not just blank like that. We want to make sure that there's accommodation where necessary.
Okay.
So you mentioned 30 days for the code of conduct, but what about the funding? Does funding have also the 30-day deadline?
Not similarly, but they also do. It's a requirement that I will send it in writing. I think it's a better way of doing it. That mandates that says if you don't have your funding training, especially as a funding officer, you should not be voting on funding matters because you're not up to date with your funding requirements.
Okay.
So Laura, I wonder if we should just say all required training, you know, per the DUN's deadline, and then if DUN doesn't have a deadline, for example, for funding, then specify a specific deadline for
Right.
our purposes.
That's a good
Right.
that's a good suggestion. Yes.
Right, and then so Greg's initiative would be, if I'm speaking for Greg, so I hope I have it right. Instead of 4 months, that all trainings be completed within 2 months of being seated on the board. So that's a new board member, and then a continuing board member also needs to, you know, it's not. Our language, and I think Dunn's expectation is if you're continuing, you need to have completed your renewals every 2 years before the expiration date. Not, you don't get another 2 to 4 months. So the question is, the real question is, can we have stricter rules in the standing rules than we currently have in the bylaws? That's a technical question. And then I saw a hand go up and then down real quick. And if the answer is yes, do we agree with Greg's proposal? If the answer is no, they have to be identical, then we have to wait till the bylaws are amended before we could then amend the standing rules on this one item.
Dolores has her hand up.
I can't see. Okay, so Dolores, oh, I see your hand now. Sorry, you know what? It looked like a pineapple in the tree. Sorry, in your background.
Don't mention pineapples. They have a different. At any rate, your comment with regards to new board members versus continuing board members, I don't think there should be a difference. All board members should have the same length of time to complete their training. And I think the 6 month is excessive. I think that I agree with Greg. Time frame should be short.
Right.
Madam President, if I may interject real quick. So just
want to. And then Nancy has her hand raised right after that. So go ahead, Gibson.
So I'm going to put a document in the chat. Is also Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. It's a policy number 2014-2/2 that also sort of dictates. It says. The Code of Conduct Department bearing the signature shall be completed within 30 days of the election or selection by the certified department or within 30 days of selection by the board. Any board member shall renew their Code of Conduct every 2 years. And also, I'm just going to put it in the in the chat, just kind of make sure that everybody takes a look at the policy so everybody knows it's something that the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners had voted on.
Nancy, then Greg.
Thanks, Gibson. That would be helpful in crafting the language. What I was going to say, Laura, is I do think that just my own interpretation of this is that the bylaws would trump the standing rules, but I don't think that should stop us from revising the standing rules, at least right now, so that when we, and then take the opportunity to revise the bylaws, so that then we don't do one revision now and then have to revise the standing rules again after we revise the bylaws.
Okay, so maybe we could have some language that just sort of references consistency with the bylaws. I don't know. Meaning make the change, but reference consistency with the bylaws. And Nancy, you're a great person to figure out what that means, what I just said, how that means in this. Greg, you have your hand up? Up, but you're muted. You're still muted. I think Greg is trying to tell us he can't talk because he's mute. But he is talking. There you are.
If I could show the text for the revised change, I think that might be helpful.
Greg, can you just send that to me so that we can
you put it in the chat?
Can you just send that to me?
I could do all of the above. All of the above.
Yeah, if you I mean, in other words, I could unshare and then reshare, and you could share.
I can put in the chat. In the chat.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Chat would be fine.
Come into the chat.
Okay.
Should we finish going through this in case anyone else has more comments? Yeah.
Right. You guys, this is my thought. I would like to run through the rest of the document. I think my thought is we're not going to vote on the document so that we have more time to fix that item 5 training. Is that is that the consensus that we're not voting tonight? Okay, John, you can see more people than I can see.
No hands.
People nodding their head, yes.
Greg has his hand up still.
No,
I
I'm
know.
done. That was it.
He said, okay, but let me run through the rest of this because I think maybe the training item is the only thing we've had any discussion on. The section 6 is a definition of the resident region representatives. This doesn't, the language may change, making it more positive than negative, but essentially it's saying regional reps attend neighborhood meetings, neighborhood block club associations, and or UNNC sponsored events from time to time. Not at the moment, but soon, we hope. And then the more important thing for those of us who are committee chairs is sometimes we have issues on our agendas that have a specific effect on a particular region, and the regional reps together should figure out at least one of the two go to that meeting, if at all possible, so that they're really representing their neighbors when we're having discussions, whether it be trees, land use, an economic development initiative, whatever it is, but that they be present in the room when the discussion is had. So going to committee meetings. And then number 7, at-large board members, they need to become a participating regular attendee of a standing committee, and they can pick one as it pertains to their area of interest and designation on the board. And of course, like everybody else, at-large board members need to take place in UNNC-sponsored events from time to time. Dolores.
Regarding the neighborhood block clubs and associations, do you have a list of all that's in our footprint? Because that's part of my responsibility to make sure that the board members are participating in these events, and
right.
They don't know what to participate in if they don't know what's available.
Right. We do /ish because it changes from time to time. I mean, for example, the Angeles Vista Neighborhood Association hasn't met since COVID hit. But I know that Harvard Heights is meeting virtually. So, it's kind of hard to, today is not the, today meaning right now, the middle of 2021 is not necessarily the same as it would be in the future. But yes, we do keep those lists.
Okay.
I think Greg has them and maybe Lizzie has them, right? Both of you guys are following that.
Yes.
Like I told Dolores the other day, Greg had started a database with, but it was supposed to be filled in with contributions from all board members, and that did not happen. So the database is very poor. I have been able to, because of elections and attending different neighborhood association meetings, I do have it a little bit added on, but where it's not, and maybe we can do something with the e-blast list as well, but we have to work a lot on it.
Well, I think we could turn this around. I don't want it in the standing rules, but honestly, I think the people who are elected to represent the neighborhoods are the ones who should be giving us, meaning Central, the list, and not us providing them that information. I mean, not that it should be a competition, but that wouldn't be in the standing rules. The standing rules should, there's nothing new about what's said here in the standing rules, that the neighborhood representatives should go to neighborhood meetings. That's the bottom line on that. Teresa, everybody's calling on Teresa now.
Thank you. A point of order, Madam President, and maybe Nancy can help us. I'm sure we've exceeded 5 minutes talking about this subject.
Yes.
So if we're going to continue, somebody needs to make a motion. And if not, then we have to, I forgot what Nancy said the protocol is on that, but I know we've exceeded 5 minutes.
Yes. So I think I move to postpone this to the next meeting. I think, now everyone has a draft of the standing rules. If you could all take, 5 to 10 minutes just to read it. If you have any specific comments, if you can email them to me before the next governing board meeting, and I will incorporate those.
Okay.
And then we can discuss it again at the next meeting. So that's my motion.
That is fine. Thank you. Okay. So,
Can we have this email to each of us?
hang on. The next item, I'm trying to go back to the governing board agenda, and we are very late, but maybe this won't take forever. Committee chair, co-chair, NC Alliances, Liaison, representative appointments. And this item is our annual. Appoint committee chairs and co-chairs for UNNC standing committees, including as needed subcommittees. Appoint representatives and liaisons to several citywide and area neighborhood council alliances. These positions may be held by board members or stakeholders. The committee and alliance descriptions are in the agenda packet. They're appended to this agenda, and I can also and will share the screen with this document. So I'm not sure how you guys want to do this item. The fast way would be just very quickly to go through these committees and see if anyone is volunteering themselves. Is that okay with my fellow board members?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And so this is in random order. Sorry about that. The Community Impact Statement Committee, which you, sorry, it's a little messy, which you see is posted. Its task is to monitor city council motions, proposed ordinances, cases moving to city council, alert committee chairs and executive committee to relevant items, follow up on agenda items. And this is the prior, this is not the mission statement. This is just a description. Follow up on agenda items and manage proper submission of our community impact statements to the proper city clerk's council file management system places. Janie was the chair. The chair is vacant. Does anyone, well, I want to say on a practical basis, it's been meeting on the fourth Thursday of every month, because that is the day before the last Friday, which is the day all agenda items must be turned in for the governing board meetings for the first Thursday of the month. So that Janie had wanted it at the end so that it would be timely. The chair is vacant. Does anyone want to self-nominate as chair of the Community Impact Statement Committee? I will not be able to see raised hands. So John, if you could follow that.
I see no raised hands.
Okay, moving on. Planning and Zoning Committee meets twice a month, first and third Wednesdays. We work on development proposals, planning department rules and regulations, code enforcement, do we? And long-range planning. And we address pretty much every planning and zoning matter which affects UNNC. Can I just go ahead? John would like to be the chair and Laura would like to be the co-chair. In other words, flipping positions. So we're sort of, correct, John?
Yes, I will accept that. I won't be Laura, but I'll try.
But is there anyone else who wanted to be? Okay.
Are we voting? Can we vote by acclamation on that, or do we need to do a roll call?
Well, that's what I was sort of asking you guys. Do we want to do one-by-one votes, or do we want to just run through this?
No, I'd rather just knock each one out if we can. So can, do we have to make a motion for this, or? I'd like to make a motion that John becomes the chair and Laura the co-chair of the Planning and Zoning. And if we could have a vote by raise of hands. If not, then I will call the roll.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Dorit. Can we just see, since there are no others interested in this, can we just see a raised hand, please?
Okay. I'm raising my hand. I can't find the reaction button.
It looks like everyone's raising their hand for yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Dorit.
Congratulations. Or I'm sorry.
Or I was going to say, or the I'm sorry, you get to keep going. All right.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
And I'm sorry. And what's interesting is I have this is as right as it could be, but it's also the wrong document, but that's okay. Economic Development Committee And the chair is not vacant. The chairs were actually Chris Carlson and Hugo Rodriguez, neither of whom is here tonight. But I would ask the question, does anyone want to self-nominate for Economic Development Committee? Teresa has her hand up.
Oh, no, I didn't lower it. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Is anybody now? Whoop.
Nancy's is up. Oh,
Nancy's is up.
Nancy's was up.
Yes, I'm interested, but I haven't talked to Chris or Hugo about it.
Okay.
But Chris,
So-
I'd like to raise my hand, please.
Teresa?
Thank you, John. I think we talked about this before. If someone would like to be the chairman of the committee, they really should come to the governing board meeting, at least show some respect to the board and say, hey, I'd like to do this. And I know Chris Carlson is traveling right now. I don't know if you received a letter from her, Laura or Dolores. But
I'm sorry,
Nancy
Chris
is
had
here.
it. Yeah, Chris had intended to be here. She told me she wants to continue to be the chair, but I think this is unexpected. So my proposal would be Nancy as chair and Chris as co-chair. But Teresa, what do you think?
I think that's fine, because can we get a vote on it and see if we can get a raise, hands raised by acclamation? I'd like to make the motion that Nancy becomes the chair and Chris the co-chair of the Economic Development Committee.
Nancy, was Nancy volunteering for that, or she just said she wants to be on the committee?
I'm sorry, Greg, what did you say?
I was just trying to clarify, was Nancy volunteering for the position of chair, or that she was just interested in working with the committee?
I think she volunteered herself as chair, but Nancy can speak for herself.
Yes, I did, or as co-chair, but yeah, which is fine. Yeah, either one.
There's a whole lot of hands up.
Has Hugo indicated whether he wants to remain?
Hugo has indicated he wants to remain active in the committee, but he's not sure he wants to chair. But he's not here. He's an unexcused absence. So I don't think,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, he knew this was on the agenda, so.
Hey, it's Raheem. My hand is up. I just want to make sure, if it seems like we're wading into some weird waters here if we're nominating Chris, who's not here, but also not nominating Hugo, who's not here. And like all the hearsay about you've heard this or haven't heard that, it feels a little weird. I don't know if this committee chairship is something we can just like put on hold until, or just nominate Nancy. I just don't think we should be nominating people that aren't here that we haven't heard directly from.
Okay, Raheem, I think you're not wrong. So I think what we should do, if everyone's okay, is we nominate Nancy as, let's just say, a chair, and understanding that we may revisit and add a co-chair or even two co-chairs next month.
No, I disagree.
Is that a fair compromise? Nancy's here. I see a lot of hands up, and I don't know if you're voting or commenting. I was trying to move through this quickly and not slowly.
Let's everyone lower their hands so we can see who wants to speak, please.
Laura, I prefer to just skip it, and then we can come back to it at the next meeting, and I'll talk to Hugo and Chris.
Okay. Perfect. Moving on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Communications Committee, Raheem is the chair. So again, this document is not quite right because Gabby is the co-chair. I don't think she's here tonight. So we're back to that same situation. But Raheem, do you want to address that?
Well, that's super
Well, first of all, do you want to be chair?
Yeah, I do. And Gabby and I, the plan has been to remain co-chairs.
Right.
Yeah.
And I definitely have an email from Gabby it's you know, from a while back, but I definitely have one where she stated exactly that.
So is that a nomination by Lebar for Raheem and Gabby?
That would be my nomination.
I'm sorry.
And Teresa's gonna, I know.
Yes, I am, because we just said that Chris isn't here. So, and you said that she showed interest, but Chris isn't here. But on the other hand, we're going to allow Gabby because Raheem says he talked to her. I mean, we just need to be consistent. And I'm going to go back, and if you want to be the co-chair or the chair of a committee, you should be here and say, hey, I'm interested in this. I'm committed and I want to participate. I just feel it's disrespectful for the people to say they want to do it and then they're not even here. That's
right. But Teresa, you know that there's nothing in any of our rules that says a person. This is just an executive committee expressed desire. So the governing board can overrule us on that if they wish.
So, Lizzie, is your hand up to speak? Nope.
No. So again, what is the governing board's preference here?
Can I say something, Laura?
Wait, Tori, no, I'm asking the governing board at this point.
I would rather wait until
this is gonna take way too long. This is my problem right now.
Laura, you just said you were asking the governing board something, and I want to say something.
Yes, thank you. I just can't see hands.
So Paula's hand was up, is up. Paula, do you have something? That's what I saw first.
Yes, since Raheem is here and says he wants to be chair, I think that we should accept that and then move on and discuss Gabby later.
I would agree with that. So I'm going to move by Paula.
And Dorit's hand was also up. She had something to say.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
So you're the second?
Second by Dorit.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to elect Raheem or confirm Raheem as the chair of Communications Committee with the knowledge that we'll revisit if the co-chair comes next month. And then again, this is just, please raise your virtual hands so we can do it by acclamation.
It's Raheem. Can I just ask a quick question? Is there any way that we can define better how a potential co-chair could become a co-chair? Like, do they actually have to come to a meeting? Can they just send the executive committee an email? Like, because
Raheem, I'm going to agree with you because this means I have to reschedule the same matter next month again and then again and again, but until we fill these positions. But I think the clarity is that to self-nominate yourself as a co-chair, you need to be present.
If everyone can lower their hands, I've registered I saw 11 hands up. So
I had voted yes on Raheem.
Yep, I got, so it's 12.
And is that 2/3 of the number of board members present? It seems that it is.
I think it is.
Okay. So I don't know, Raheem, if that clarified, but I think that's the basic. The core answer is we're only going to vote for people who are present tonight. Moving on, Outreach Committee. And everyone take your hands down. The chair is not vacant. I'm telling you, I've got the wrong thing up. Lizzie, did you want to return as chair of the Outreach Committee?
Yes, please.
Is there anyone who either objects to that or wants to be the co-chair with her? Hearing nothing, is there a nomination for Lizzie to be chair of Outreach?
Well, I hear a nomination. Is there a motion?
I move that Lizzie be the chair of
Second?
Outreach. It's Dorit.
Yep. Second? By?
I second.
Is that Teresa? Yep.
Yay, Lizzie.
Yeah. Okay, I hate this, whatever's going on in this document. Sorry, you guys. So by acclamation, please raise your hands. and it appears by acclamation, Lizzie is re-selected as outreach chair. Public Safety Committee, we do not currently have anyone running the Public Safety Committee. If it were active, it works with the community, the council office, LAPD and LAFD, fire department, to address issues of safety, security, and law enforcement. And that would probably involve going to virtual CPAP meetings for 3 divisions, Wilshire, Olympic, and Southwest. Is there anyone who would like to self-nominate to chair a currently non-existent public safety committee? Any hands? Moving on, Homelessness Liaison Committee. And I'm not going to read through all of this. The Homelessness Liaison Committee deals with the issues and concerns of the unhoused population in the UNNC footprint. And currently the chair is Tori, and the current co-chair is Hugh Moore, who is not present tonight. Tori, you are present. Did you want to continue?
Yes.
Does any, right. Hi, and does anyone else wish to self-nominate as a co-chair of that committee?
Is there a motion to
make the motion
Tori
that
Bailey?
Tori, sorry, I make the motion that Tori stay as chair of the Homeless Liaison Committee.
Second.
Who was that?
Dolores.
Thank you.
And again, I see, are people raising their hand because they're voting? I'm voting. Okay. Okay. I'm definitely in the wrong document, but we have the right committee. So is that effectively an acclamation, John? Or
yep. It was
okay.
12, it was 12 votes.
Okay. Jefferson Park Community Safety Committee. It's been having its troubles about meeting regularly. If it were meeting, it'd be meeting on the 4th Tuesday of the month. We've had a couple of meetings in 2021, but it's not been meeting regularly. And the committee basically embraces the concerns of Jefferson Park stakeholders. Discussions include neighborhood issues and topics important to residents, business owners, and other stakeholders, and obviously also liaisons with the LAPD and others. So we do not have a current chair of the Jefferson Park Community Safety Committee. Would anyone like to self-nominate?
I can have someone, I'm going to ask someone to be that person for next meeting. So if there's a blank there, I think I can recruit somebody. Okay, moving on.
What we appointed, we call it a committee, but it's not really. The FAA Quiet Skies Committee is not really a committee.
It's a
liaison, basically.
Yeah, it's basically
and John Arnold is currently the appointed representative, and Jeff is the alternate. Is that right?
Nope, other way around.
Jeff Camp is our current appointed representative.
Yes.
And you are the alternate.
I'm the alternate.
So this is a little bit different, and we don't necessarily have to vote tonight. In fact, we probably should not, because this is a more official thing that we have to write a letter to LAX Roundtable. So since Jeff isn't here and we can't easily change it.
It's also not, it's not a committee. So
it's not really a committee. So I'm going to move on. I'm just moving on. Because LAX will tell us when we next need to act.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm taking out the word chair, however, because there's no committee. Recreation and Parks Committee. And again, this is not the mission statement. Dorit has done a super, I'll say it like Dorit would, a super duper, really great job as the chair of Recreation and Parks, but does not wish to continue. Does anyone who's present wish to self-nominate as the chair of the Recreation and Parks? Yay.
Sebastian Felbeck.
Sebastian. Okay, I'm now not seeing the screen, so the spelling on your last name, or for that matter, your last name, I don't have.
F as in Frank, E-L-B-E-C-K. B as in boy, E-C-K.
Got it.
Perfect.
I have no idea why this program is doing what it's doing, but there you go, Sebastian Felbeck. Thank you. Oh, there you are.
Is there a motion? Motion for that?
Okay.
Make a motion to nominate. Well, are there any other people interested in being on this committee as a chair, a co-chair? You see any hands, John?
I do not.
Okay, then I'd like to nominate Sebastian Felbeck to be the chair of the Recreation and Parks Committee.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Yay.
Was that Dolores?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let's again do a raised hand function or a raised hand function, either the little virtual hand or raise your hand. And John and Teresa, you're going to watch because I can't see anything.
I see 12 hands raised.
Okay.
13.
Cool.
14.
Congratulations, Sebastian. And I will talk to you about the hows and all the different various how you do it. But you've got a good team already in place.
I'm excited. If you don't mind, I have to go help with the kids right now. Do you mind, or just call me later or whatever? I just have to go help with the kids down. If you don't
no
mind.
problem. And I won't call you later tonight. I'll call you later this weekend.
All right, awesome, you guys. Fun listening in on your meeting. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, cheers. Bye.
Public Works Committee. Again, I'm sorry, since I'm working in the wrong document 2 years. Public Works Committee is non-existent at the moment. And if it were alive, it would be addressing a complete range of issues arising from city services within UNNC's boundaries, street maintenance, lighting, paving, code enforcement. See, code enforcement is now said twice, sanitation, trash collection, etc. Jasmine has her hand up. Are you self-nominating or asking a question? Jasmine?
Sorry, I was having tech issues.
Okay. I didn't hear that.
She said no.
Tech issues.
Yes, no question from Jasmine.
I'm sorry, so I still lost this. So not a question nor a self-nomination?
You have neither.
Just moving along. Okay. The Elections Committee we do not need to do. Currently, so let me just do this. Currently, we have a subcommittee on oil and gas reform. It's a subcommittee to the Planning and Zoning Committee. Steve Peckman is not present, but he has been the chair. Chris has indicated that she thought she was the co-chair, but she is also not present. But I would like to ask, is there anyone here who wants to be self-nominated as a chair or co-chair? Otherwise, we'll put this off again till another month. Okay. Youth Committee. I'm deleting the name. Another committee that has not been active. The Youth Committee works to encourage the participation of the neighborhood council's younger stakeholders. Would anyone like to self-nominate to reinvigorate, recreate, and chair a youth committee? Okay, hearing nothing. Moving on. This is inaccurate. The chair has been Elizabeth Fenner, and the co-chair is currently Dan Cagle, and they're not here. Does anyone wish to self-nominate as a chair or co-chair of the Environmental Committee? Okay, so tabling that for tonight, they're not present. The Bylaws Committee hasn't existed for a little bit, but we can redo our bylaws this year. If we were going to do that, we would need to have a chair, and then we would discuss whether that would be a standing committee or an ad hoc committee. But to start out with this, does anyone wish to chair a bylaws committee? And I might point out that we won't be redoing our bylaws if we don't have a bylaws committee, but we don't have to establish it today. Okay, moving on. Our budget advocates are, which is a representative position, and thus it doesn't end. I mean, it's not the one-year appointment, are Nancy Cruz and Hugo Rodriguez. And Nancy, if I'm correct, you don't wish to continue, is that right?
Yes, I mean, if someone else is interested.
Right. So is anybody else interested in joining Hugo as a budget advocate, budget rep? And just by the way, the budget reps have elected Hugo as a budget advocate, one of the two budget advocates for South Los Angeles.
Could I just ask the question, what Saturday of the month this meeting is on, please?
Nancy, do you know?
No, I don't know off the top of my head.
I know it's not the first. Right? It's not the first or the second. I just don't know if it's third or fourth.
Nancy, it was a Saturday, right?
Yes, it is. It's a Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, we don't need to do this tonight. We can have up to two. We have one, and there's no expiration on that term. The link, and I'm deleting Chris's name here because she never went. So the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition meets the first Saturday of the month, so including this coming Saturday. I occasionally go, but I'm not our official rep, nor do I wish to be, so I never vote when they take votes. It's actually kind of interesting. There's a lot of, there's leaders from all the neighborhood councils all over the city. Would anyone like to be our official rep to Link? No hands?
Where do they meet? Where do they meet, Laura?
Well, right now, virtually, on Zoom. They meet on Zoom. I feel that they might continue to do that. I mean, they have no Brown Act restrictions. I think they've got a lot more participation now than they did before because people don't have to go anywhere. But anyway, for the foreseeable future, they're meeting on Zoom.
I would like to self-nominate. This is Paula.
Excellent. Thank you, Paula.
Okay. Who's moving and who's seconding?
I'll move that.
John moves. Laura seconds. Okay. For Paula Southern to be our rep to Link. All in favor, raise their hand, please.
I got 13, 14 with you, including you.
Okay, cool. Paula, you're it. I will copy you on an email where I'm writing to the people who run Lank, so they'll put you on the list. Okay. South LA Alliance of Neighborhood Councils, SLANK, meets the third Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Our designated reps are Dorit and Janie, And then all the presidents from South LA are also reps when we go. Dorit, did you want to continue doing that?
I want to make a statement that this is an extremely important committee, and I hope people will jump in. I'm currently taking a class this semester that's causing me a great deal of stress, anxiety, and just pulling my hair out. So I don't know if I can commit to going every month. But I really hope somebody from this board decides they want to be part of this. It's very important.
Okay. So would anybody like to be one of our 2 reps to Slank? Would you be more interested if you knew that Marquise is a special guest this month and Mark is a...
Sarah has her hand up.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'll nominate myself.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Dorit, are you taking your name out of it or just saying you won't be able to attend this semester?
If anyone wants my spot, they're welcome to it. I'll still go to as many meetings as I can. I don't want to take a spot from somebody else.
Okay, so is there anybody else in addition to Sarah who wanted, because we have 2 spots that we can have. So no. So Dorit, if you want it, you're still it to the extent you can participate.
So I have Sarah nominate.
Well, I guess we have to vote.
Sarah nominates Sarah, and Dorit nominates Dorit. Do I have a motion saying such?
Well, I move that Dorit and Sarah be appointed our Slank reps.
Second, Lizzie.
Lizzie seconds. Teresa? Oh, we're voting. Everybody raise their hand if they're in favor.
I see 13, 14, including the door.
Cool. So the Emergency Preparedness Alliance meets the last Saturdays at 10 a.m. And Teresa, is this the same one that you were asking me about?
Yes, it is. But I really, even though I think it's incredibly important, I'm not sure I can take that on.
No, I understand. But I mean, is this the one in the same with the one you were asking me about? Not where you asked me about that you could be at, but
yes, it is.
Yes.
And I attended last Saturday's meeting, so it is important. They're working on CERT training and earthquake drills and trying to get everybody ready for when we have the big one. So it is important, but I'm not sure I can commit to it.
So so would anybody like to be UNNC's representative to the Emergency Preparedness Alliance?
This is Dennis. I'd give it a try.
Okay. Dennis self-nominates. Do we have competition? Okay, so we need a motion for Dennis in a second.
This is Paula. I so move.
Okay, who seconds?
Second.
Okay, Dolores, let's all raise our hands.
I see 13, 14 plus you with Laura.
Okay. Okay, so the next one, Elizabeth Fenner is and has been for quite some time, our Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance rep, and does participate. It meets irregularly, but she participates regularly. We are allowed to have 2. Obviously, she's not here to self-nominate, but I wouldn't want to strip a person of that either. Teresa?
No, thank you. Oh, no, I agree that Elizabeth has been participating, and since this is not a committee in the traditional sense, that it's fine to continue to have her, but no, I do not want to do it, Laura.
No, I just saw your hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't.
I mean, just calling on you. Does anybody want to be the second Sustainability Alliance rep? Okay, so we don't need to vote unless you guys want to, because she's already appointed by us. We've already written the letter. Okay, fine. Plan check NC. again, that meets the second Saturday of the month. I tend to go, but I'm not our rep. I don't think I need to be our rep. I don't vote on anything. It's a really good way to learn about land use, all of the updates. The city planning department routinely comes and presents updates on every initiative that they're doing. If you want to learn more about land use, this is the place to be. And as our rep, you can even vote on matters. Does anybody want to self-nominate? All right. Well, I'm not self-nominating because I just feel that I participate in that entity just fine. I don't need to be the official rep. So you guys consider it, because it's a really good way, much better than the Planning 101 training, to learn about planning. Okay. Okay. DWP Advocacy and MOU Oversight Committee. It meets the first Saturday of the month at 8:30 in the morning. And again, right now on Zoom. If and when they go back in person, it is at the DWP building in downtown. Anybody, we've never participated in this. Anybody want to participate in LADWP Advocacy and MOU? MOU stands for Memorandum of Understanding. So there's an MOU with the Neighborhood Council System. So it's the Oversight Committee. Anybody want to self-nominate? Moving on. LGBTQ Plus, it's not new anymore, it's a year old. There's an LGBTQ Plus Alliance of Los Angeles Neighborhood Councils, and it works to create visibility, safety, and equality for Angelenos identifying as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and other Angelenos across the gender and sexuality spectrum. They've asked for 2 UNNC reps. We've not had any for this full year that they've been meeting. Did anybody want to self-nominate? And then this does it. Okay, moving on. In addition, we've Dunn has requested that all NCs appoint liaisons, resilience liaison and a data liaison. And I can't tell if Gibson's still on the call.
Gibson is no longer in the room.
Okay, so I don't really know what these are, but we do keep getting emails saying, hey, have you appointed anybody yet?
What on earth is a resilience liaison?
Well, this is a mayor's initiative, and it's maybe rather overlapping to the Emergency Preparedness Alliance, but not completely. It's the Rylan team, RYLAN. And if you're going to ask me more than that, I don't know, because I've not been participating. But I think in COVID, we've all been very resilient. And I think that's part of, they're trying to keep neighborhoods resilient, but I don't know. I'm just nattering now.
Can we just find out what it is?
Yeah, and we'll come back. Yeah, and the data liaison is somebody who's interested in data. So I don't know if anybody, that's 2 different things. If anybody wants to be a data liaison. And that's census and, all of that data we're beginning to see from the controller and everybody else. It'd be somebody who is interested in manipulating and learning, doing data.
That sounds like Greg.
No, you know who it sounds like is, I don't mean to jump in. Norman. It sounds like Norman. We should probably ask him if he wants to do that for us.
Our old Norman?
Our old Norman.
Oh, okay.
He's a data guy. I should ask. I'll ask him. I'm going to ask him. Okay, we have finished.
Laura.
Yes.
You did not add Dennis Letsky's name to the emergency preparedness.
You're absolutely right. And honestly, this whole document sucks. It's the wrong one. I had corrected it so it wouldn't have this kind of weirdness of how it keeps moving on its own accord. So I've got it here. I'm going to save it. and I will put it in the document that's cleaner and send that to Teresa. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to stop the share, and oh my gosh, we're so late. John, we're at the point where I'm turning crap over to you.
Great.
But this is what I would, okay, so what I would like to suggest, John, if it's okay with you, because I did update our document, is if you let me do the posting, and if there's any alterations, it'll just keep it all in one place, if that's okay.
Yep. So you're
going to run this session, but I'm turning the meeting piece over to you.
Great. So I assume this is I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is agenda item 11, 11A, housing element update. And as you'll see, as soon as I share, I move the, in our document, I move the motion to the top, but it's not necessarily the first thing we're doing.
Okay, ready?
So if you can see that, what I did, John, John, I know that you had a wonderful day, right? And didn't probably didn't see this. So I'm just explaining our motions, that yellow thing. The pink is sort of that advance how we decided to divide our thing, and then moving on.
I'm all over it. I looked at it. I'm ready to go. Okay, as your new chair of planning and zoning, thank you very much. And as my entree, I'm going to keep our 25-minute item to 5 minutes. For the past 2 planning and zoning meetings, it has been our only item is to look, or not only, but our only major item is to look at the housing element. The housing element is an 8-year document. It's revised every 8 years, and is basically a giant think tank where the City of Los Angeles, the planning department, creates a document to send to Sacramento about how the City of Los Angeles will meet its housing goals. And it's a giant think tank with architects. I was on it once. Community activists, Laura was on it once. Community advocacy organizations, city planners. It's this huge array of people who are on this committee to write this housing element. They came out with a housing element draft several weeks ago, and it has been our job to review. It's a giant document, it's multifaceted. It has goals, objectives, and programs. It's huge. And so the way we approach it, we had an A+ team at Planning and Zoning, about 8 people who were there to read the document and then come to Planning and Zoning 2 meetings ago with ideas of how UNNC shall respond to this document. It is not our job to create policy. We're not voting on policy. We're putting in our input as UNNC to sections of the housing element that resonate with our constituency, resonate with our concerns for our area. So it wasn't meant to be a thorough analysis. It wasn't meant to be, we aren't voting on the whole thing, but we brought to the table with 8 of us reading this, or 8 plus or minus 8, each of us highlighted a section that we thought, yes, this is something UNNC should address. So over the past few weeks, we've been collecting our thoughts about this. At our last meeting, 2 meetings ago, we each brought a topic up, and it was our homework to write a section to address a portion of the housing element that would resonate with UNNC. So on last night's meeting, we came up with the yellow motion at the top, and you can see it, and this is a work in progress. We were editing it as we were going. It's a big onerous thing, but we had a great team to talk about it. And we basically had each person that you see highlighted in pink took a section, and we championed that. We had our items, our concerns on the table. We talked about them, and then we added them to the list. And what our proposal is right here, is to move to present the basic concepts to the governing board, which is tonight, for its approval to direct the executive committee in 2 weeks to adopt and approve a final letter no later than 9/21/21, either at a meeting or via email. So what we can do really quickly is to go through each of our highlighted sections that we intend to write a brief paragraph with backup thoughts about each item. And it's not our, I think we can deliberate this as much as at the pleasure of the board, but let's go through these really quickly and we can and see what resonates and or what doesn't resonate, or if we can approve.
Right.
So first item is a preamble introduction, which we think is important to just lay the groundwork on where UNNC has stood historically on issues of housing in RNC. Laura, do you have a comment on this?
No, other than it'll be longer than one paragraph. But as you can see, what we've popped in already, you know, we keep approving housing. We understand how important it is to add more housing while at the same time creating a balance between the new housing and preserving the, you know, special and unique character of our different neighborhoods. So that's the theme, but we want to say, and you'll see it all the way throughout, that we support housing. We're not NIMBY. We may not be totally YIMBY, but whatever the middle ground is between the NIMBY and YIMBY world is where we are, and we're proud of it.
So our first topic was addressing homelessness. This was championed by Dorit. And basically each one of these sections, we wanted to address a portion of the housing element. This is goal number 5, city committed to preventing and ending homelessness. And so if you could scroll up, Laura, please.
Yeah. How do you want me to keep scrolling?
Yeah, keep scrolling, please. So obviously the city has ideas about this, and we were looking to add our voice. I can stop right there. To additional opportunities, and then you can see below, pink was comments that we had during the meeting. I'm not sure if it's worthwhile to go through each one of these in depth.
Well, I just want to make the point here that right here that 40% are chronically homeless, but the remaining 60% of those who are unhoused are able to thrive in the community using shallow subsidies and housing choice vouchers. So that's the idea Dorit is proposing and that we love. So that's a thing to add to the housing element is what we're suggesting.
Where we could, we would be supportive of the basic tenets, and where we could, we would add thoughts about strategy and where we might improve upon what the city has presented based on a prism of our UNNC concerns. Right. Nancy, your hands is up.
Yes, so one comment I have, and I don't know if this is a place to say it, I was just reading the third paragraph. It's one thing with the Section 8 vouchers is as soon as the individual's income changes, their Section 8 voucher decreases, right? And they have to pay more of the actual rent. And that's something that I have a lot of issue with, because it doesn't even allow them to build a safety net before they are cut off from the voucher. And it affects both the landlord and the tenant. I think it would be more beneficial for Section 8 to, I don't know, give them some runway before they start charging them more.
So I think what our idea is that if you have an idea of something to add, just email John and myself and we'll see about adding it. I will make the comment that that's a HACLA, it's a federal program thing. So maybe we should express our concern and say the city, you know, we would ask that the city look into how to help people bridge from vouchers to other programs if their income increases, but they still need support, something like that. But if you could write it up and send it to us, the whole point of this is it's a draft and we can add to it.
Okay.
Dorit. Can I add to it, Laura?
Dorit has her hand up.
Shallow subsidies could actually fill in for some of, shallow subsidies can fill in for some of that changes in rent. And rent will always be 30% of the person's income. but they still get to take out for things like if they're the person who's paying utilities, the utilities are not included. So there's some other math that goes in there as well. But Nancy, I'm certainly not disagreeing with you. It does not allow people to build stability and wealth.
Right. So maybe we should just, again, Nancy, if you could send in this thought, and we'll figure out, because it may end up being just a separate, an inserted extra item.
Yeah, I think if something resonates with anybody here, so we
Yes.
don't have to litigate it right now at this meeting, please, if it's something you're interested in adding to something, please say, I want to add to the homelessness section of our letter. Please do so and email Laura and myself.
Right. I was going to say, John, let me just say, if you decide to read, because it's in the packet, agenda packet, all 266 pages, and there's a whole other section that we didn't address that you want us to address, that's okay too, because this is not the last bite. It's the last bite at governing board because of the deadlines, but we're gonna, come up with a proposed final and executive committee, assuming you accept our motion, will take another stab at this. So feel free to read those 266 pages, and if anything else resonates with you.
Yeah, so the next topic is the missing middle. We felt was inadequately addressed in the housing element generally. Sarah championing this. Missing middle is, there's a lot of folk, market rate takes care of itself, which is anything that the market can bear, which is usually luxury. And then affordable more or less takes care of itself because there's a lot of government tax credits and other ways to get affordable housing built. But the missing middle is that gray market rate area where people can't afford to have regular paying jobs to live in the neighborhood of their choice. So we thought this was necessary to address, since we are a middle income, non-luxury section of town, that this was particularly resonant with but we sell very expensive real estate, how we can keep our residents being able to live in our area. So we had a lot of discussion about this and how this might be addressed. And then how to define missing middle, which was obviously it's not adequately defined. There's not even a definition for it, or it's a vague definition. Okay.
Well, yeah, the only reference in that entire 266-page document is that moderate income workforce housing at 150% of area median income. So that would be, and I was underestimating last night at our discussion. I thought that'd be about 75, but no, that's going to be over 100,000, moderate income over $100,000 a year. So we didn't, that doesn't seem to be a good place to call the missing middle.
So please, and again, Laura, this was included. Laura sent this out earlier tonight, so you can all read this document that we're looking at right now. So that was another area that we thought would be good for us to comment on. And the comments in pink are what we discussed last night at the meeting.
Right.
Any other comment? Sarah, do you have any other additions to that?
No, I like what Laura added.
Great. Okay, what's the next item, Laura?
Okay. Creating generational wealth.
This was Teresa's. This was ancillary or adjacent to finding ways to allow people to buy into the neighborhood and build wealth through their homes. That was been important historically, and that is becoming more and more difficult to attain. Teresa, do you have any synopsis that you could add to that?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you, John.
So, again, if you want to read further, if this resonates with you, please do. Preserving affordable and rent stabilized housing. This was put forth by Jasmine. For our basic reference guide, there was a very long letter from ACT LA that we don't feel it's our position to adopt part and parcel, but there were sections of the ACT LA letter that did resonate with us about preserving affordable and rent stabilized housing and the policies that would be going along with that. So that's what
Right.
that goes around.
Right. So, and then, so that goes to about here. I'm just going to put a little highlight there. So that, not that the last 10 years by right isn't meant to be the highlighted thing, but below that is our own. Now we've left, after this blue point, what did I just do? We have left the Act LA and added back into our own. So we voted on this particular thing, replacement of 100% of demolished rent stabilized RSO, rent stabilized ordinance units, in addition to the affordable units required by the density bonus program. We UNNC voted on this as a CIS and other things already. Pardon?
It was just a month ago, I believe. It was last month.
It may have been 2 months ago, but because we filed a community impact statement, and I don't think I've done any this last month. But in any case, the point is, we want these incentives to only be given if we keep the number of rent stabilized units and then add additional affordable units. And then the next item, the next two are sort of the same but different. That the density bonus program should limit the number of additional incentives or waivers for projects that are not 100% affordable. So again, we've been seeing abuse of the incentive system essentially. So that's what both of these two things. Nancy.
Is affordable here, does workforce housing, is that considered affordable?
No.
Okay.
So as Laura said, these are all items that we've seen throughout this year and the previous years, things that have affected our community and the development that goes on there. So we want to make sure that they were UNNC specific.
Right.
We've reached 15 minutes, by the way, for this topic.
Okay, so let's continue down. So the next one is equal distribution of housing. We all know that Hollywood and South LA have seen their fair share of affordable housing built. We don't have a problem with that. We welcome our new neighbors, but we want to have a way to advocate for equitable distribution throughout the city without saying no more for us, but putting in a positive light of how distributing is a positive thing for all Angelenos, including the neighborhoods that accept them.
And that section is not fully fleshed out yet. See, it says section not yet written. But this is our concept.
You have no messages.
Who's listening to their phone, you guys? Please mute.
So this topic was a topic that we've talked about in this governing board before, brought forth by Teresa about advocating more with policy shade tree canopies on our streets, and as forcing developers to not only plant trees but to take care of them and to make it a policy to enhance the shade, our shaded streets, and not have dead trees or empty tree wells.
Okay, and then these two comments below were not comments from last night. These are my comments, sadly. So I think I'll let Teresa ponder these comments, and when we finish a more final draft, we can address that. Is that okay with you, Teresa?
Yes, that's fine. I'll do that.
Wait, next okay. Conserving character neighborhoods. There's been a discrepancy between character neighborhoods and how they are protected, enhanced, or built into, and then versus HPOZs, which have more clear guidelines. And this was championed by Laura. Laura, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, that's not really what I've got here, though. The issue is that every housing element for several decades has reflected the language that is also in the city's general plan framework, which is about conserving character neighborhoods. So in fact, as you know, we have in our area 1, but in 2, but in the city 11 character residential district overlays. And the phrase character, neighborhood character, has been very well defined. And all of a sudden in this version of the housing element, they're saying neighborhood character is too vague, so let's use the phrase architectural context. But unfortunately, architectural context, I'm just going to come straight to it, it's too elite. It's just basically elitism, and will open the door for allowing almost any kind of development in a neighborhood that's not completely homogeneous with a style. So what neighborhood character has always been defined as is scale, massing, style, setback, height, lot coverage, and or materials, and maybe architectural context, but it's really where a building fits on a lot, how much it covers a lot, and how does that match or be sympathetic to the other homes and apartments even on a block. So I'm objecting, but I think we need to object to that change from neighborhood character to an emphasis on just architecture.
Again,
so that's what this whole section is about.
An issue that comes up over and over again. Nancy's your hand up, or is that a residue from past hand up? Okay.
It's a residue, but we're now at 20 minutes.
I think we're at the last section.
So historic preservation initiatives and incentives. So this was they are proposing to expand HOPOZs and HCMs, which historically UNNC has supported, but they have added a different spin to expand what it means to be historic and the cultural contributions, specifically, especially communities of color in a community, and how to not only enhance or to preserve architecture, but to preserve communities and the people who live in those structures, and to keep them in place, and to provide support and means for the people who live there to preserve their historic buildings, and what kind of programs could be provided there. So I think it was an expansive view of what an HPOZ could be that could better match our neighborhood versus just HPOZ being this kind of basically perhaps a harbinger of gentrification, but how to keep it, how to preserve, but also preserve communities at the same time. So we had a lot of talk about this, and we had a lot of talk about adding programs that actually provide funding and programs for people to be able to maintain their historic properties. So we thought this was a good move, but just not going far enough.
Right. So all that stuff that's in pink, we haven't yet really written yet.
Yep.
But that would be, in this case, the pink is going to end up being part of the essay. Okay, that is the end.
Okay, so again, these are basic concepts. If you have other concepts you think that weren't addressed here that have been important to UNNC, but we're looking for a motion to fine-tune this list and fine-tune the writing, present it, and give it to executive committee to write a final letter from UNNC.
To adopt, not make the executive committee write one.
To adopt a letter written by the Planning and Zoning Committee based on this outline presented to you now.
Okay, so John makes that motion, but it requires a second.
This is Paula. I second.
Thank you.
Okay, do I need to keep this up, or can I stop the share?
Stop it.
Thank goodness. Okay. All right, is there any discussion? I see a hand up. I don't know whose hand though.
Laura, it's me. I just wanted to confirm, so you'll, planning and zoning will finish writing up the letter, and then it goes to executive committee, there's a discussion and then approval and a vote?
Yeah, so we could do it a couple of different ways. One is that planning and zoning committee, well, that would be John and me, writes a more finalized version of this in time to go back to planning and zoning on the 15th of September. I don't know how effective that meeting date will be because I suddenly have this feeling that that's the night of Yom Kippur, but we'll still hold the meeting. Yikes. So, in other words, we could take another bite at that apple at Planning and Zoning on the 15th, but in any case, transmit it to Executive Committee, and then it would be the pleasure of the board tonight to decide if either A, Executive Committee is delegated to approve by email, thus nobody else sees the letter, or B, we have it at the Executive Committee meeting on Tuesday, the 21st. So this is a second public discussion, but the deadline, absolute positive deadline for the submission of the letter is the very next day, the 22nd of September. So that's why it needs to be delegated to executive to do anything at all. So if the board is more comfortable having a public discussion on the 21st, then you delegate this to executive, but with that, they'll do it at the meeting. If the board is comfortable approving this in concept and just simply delegating the final to executive to approve via email, which is our normal thing on letters, but this is kind of important letter, then that would be the way you should go.
Do we need to clarify that in the motion, or do we just?
I think the motion gives it either way. It says either at a meet. Yeah, the motion is generic, either at a meeting or at via email. But if you're concerned about us doing it via email, then we need to amend the motion to get rid of the word phrase via email.
Any comment, suggestions?
I would like another discussion, whether it's at the Planning and Zoning Committee or at the Executive Committee. I don't have a preference, just one more discussion in case people have comments after this.
Right.
So
from a time frame point of view, it'd be better to have a fuller discussion at Planning and Zoning on the 15th, understanding we might be excluding some people because of the Jewish holiday.
Oh, does that need to be part of the motion?
Pardon?
Does that need to be part of the motion, or is that?
I don't think so. I mean, I had already tentatively scheduled it. I mean, you guys can amend the motion to make it so, but I'm saying here and now we'll do it.
Or is it the 15th?
Is that what she meant, or did she mean the governing or whatever?
We can't have another governing board meeting unless we all want to come together for a special meeting. I can't imagine that's what you all want. So Nancy, is it sufficient for you if it's Planning and Zoning?
Yes, that's fine for me.
Okay, so I put that in as a proposal. If we want to make it part of the motion, we can. It's going to be on the agenda anyway, so that will happen. So just a point of.
It will happen. No, it will. It has to happen. We haven't finalized the letter.
Point
we can't transmit the letter to executive before we finalize it. We need to finalize it somewhere.
Correct. Or
violate the Brown Act, which we can't do. So we'll finalize our recommended final draft at Planning and Zoning.
Any other comments? I call the vote.
Okay, that can't be a call the vote. That means this is a BAC, I think.
Okay, I'm ready. Jasmine.
Yes.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit.
Yes.
Dorit is a yes. Dolores.
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. Raheem.
Yep.
Raheem is a yes. Taylor.
Yes.
Taylor is a yes. Charlie.
Yes.
Charlie is a yes. Paul is absent. Carlos is absent. Laura.
Yes.
Laura is a yes. Hugo is absent. Paula.
Yes.
Paula is a yes. Carla is absent. Isaac is absent. Dennis.
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Hugh is absent. Teresa is a yes. Michael is absent. Chris Carlson is absent. Greg.
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy is a yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah is a yes. Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie is a yes. And John?
Yes.
John is a yes.
I'm sorry I kept that at 25 minutes, which are a lot of time. It's the best I could do. But thank you to the whole committee. It's an big unruly thing. And I think we did an exceptional job as a neighbor council to respond to this. So, thank you.
Yay. Okay. Item 12 is tabled. Item 13 is treasurer's report.
Okay, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I figured if we gave you a graphic, it would help promote our understanding of our budget as of today. This gives us an overview of our funding level, including our rollover. And then it tells us what we have spent to date. It tells us what is outstanding, and then it tells us our net availability. The part that, this is what we would, in part, we would see on the MERS and even the budget report, which I will show you later, the spreadsheet that we create. But the part that I wanted everyone to see was specifically this is how we allocate funding, the graphics, and this is what we've spent so far this year. Particularly, I wanted people to be mindful of the percentage of our funding that we have placed in our general operating expense, which is 71.9%. And then the neighborhood purpose grant, we have less than 10% of our funds put into our neighborhood purpose grant. We had $3,000. As you note, tonight we spent $1,000 of that. So that might be something for us to consider making adjustments in the future. And then we have our community improvement projects. We have 18% of that. Again, when we were developing the budget for this year, we had comments about the percentage of our budget that we have allocated for operational and the percentage of our budget where money is actually going to our community. So that's just food for thought to think about. And then this just shows us what we spent, percentage of our budget that we spent so far. The next sheet, any questions on the overview? I think I'll just do this in the budget report so that we can see that graphics. I think it promotes our understanding a little better. The next sheet, let me reduce the size. The next sheet is just the actual our normal budget sheet. Again, the same information. And then what we do with this, we have the different categories, and then we show what we approved for the year and what we have actually spent for the year. And again, this is just the details of it as we go down. And then, it all bounces out. And then these are the footnotes that drill down into what we plan to do. Of course, all of that is changeable. And then the third sheet that I think I should give to everyone is an actual, kind of like a receipt list of where we have actually spent money. And so we can see the different categories. I have one thing that I'm going to, I guess, talk with Raheem, or I think the communication is that some of the Facebook posts, this is not a big deal, but it's just to make sure we have it in the correct category. I have one that's listed uncategorized, and I just need to talk with them about what's that outreach. And then I think the last thing with this is that this is something for us to consider for the future, either this year or next year. We have these clean street funds that we've held on for a few years. We may want to consider if we want to actually use these funds, these $4,250 for anything related to that. Okay, so that's the overview of the budget. Does anyone want to see anything particular today? There's no merge for us to approve for this because it's not prepared yet, but that's the overview of our budget for as of this meeting. Any questions? Okay, if not, I'll stop sharing that screen. And so what's next on my section?
Yeah, Greg, I think just in terms of clarification, and Raheem could probably confirm this, when on a monthly basis, every once in a while, we do a kind of standard outreach Facebook boost, and that would be generalized outreach. When we create a project that we know is going to be a massive Facebook boost, we would budget it as part of that project. So when you see $6 here, $3 there, and that's just sort of a daily decision making. Oh, this post on our Facebook page, we should spread it a little farther. And Raheem could clarify, but I'm just been calling it outreach when I'm uploading to the portal, and the clerk has no problem with it.
No, it's the issue is not the amount or anything like that. It's just making sure I keep it in the right bucket, because we have several sources of funds that we could use for the Facebook posts. So we have a lot of leeway in that, but I just
well, I guess if what you want is to have a next month, it's not on this agenda, a specified Facebook boost, $300 for 365 days. You need to tell Raheem and Gabby to tell you a number, and we can vote on it, right? And that's separate and apart from when we might have an event that we're going to probably boost and have it part of a budget for that event. Like if we did another walk on Washington, we would, in that budget, we would have Facebook boosting, and that's separate and apart from this. But we can talk about that offline, because it's just talking to Raheem and Gabby about what they would want in terms of a number.
Okay. Then
I see a hand raised.
Yes.
I don't know whose though.
Yes, go for it.
I don't know who it is.
It's me.
Yes.
It's me.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to ask what was the update on the Cal Green?
Yeah, that's the next thing he's about to get to.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But back to Laura's point, again, as I said, there's many different categories, and I just want to be consistent how we report it. So it's not a big deal. Okay, so from last year, we have 5 projects that were still open. The KYCC, that's fine and can move forward. On the Cal Green Works, the status is that as the treasurer, I made a recommendation. I guess that was in the executive board. And then from the executive board, where the drafting, and please, Madam President and Vice President, correct me if I'm wrong, we're drafting formal letters to send to Cal Green Works for them to respond to our concerns, and also checking with the city to make sure that we're following protocol. My point of contact at this, well, let me say this to everyone. I made a recommendation to the executive board that we cancel the Cal Green Works project, because from my conversation with them, it doesn't seem that they have the money to execute the project. That was taken up by the executive board to make sure that we give Cal Green Works fair opportunity to respond to those concerns, and we're also checking with the city to make sure that we're following protocol. My liaison at the city for budget, as you said, no, we're doing everything properly and all that good stuff. So my understanding is that we're still waiting. We're either sending the letter out to them, or we're waiting for them to respond to show that they have funds or that. So that's the status of what I have, as my part on the Cal Green Works. Also on that, if the funds come back, the $6,966, it will not come back to us. It will go into the general fund. But the concern is that we don't want the funds to be wasted, but it will come back to the city.
Oh, crap.
So that's the status of that. Any questions on that? Okay. Also, on the 3 other projects that are open, for our photographer, he was to receive a document which called the assignment of rights, which means that the pictures that he was signing off that it was property of UNNC, and so that was a form that they were going to send him for his signing, didn't complete. For our graphic designer, the check has been cut for him, so he's been paid. And then also the check has been cut for the cameras for the security for the security for that project, the security of what was the South Seas House. Okay, so that's been cut also. So that's the status of the 5 items, I should say.
Okay, so I guess I should interrupt and only say, oops, Nancy's not here to call us out on time. So I'm going to say we exceeded the time, but I know we have to do the next item, budget reimbursement. I mean, board member reimbursement.
Okay. All righty. The next item is that, let me share screen again. We have a reimbursement that we need to execute. Find it. I don't need short tables. We need to reimburse our secretary a total of $110.24 for a, let me see, this is called a WD5TB.
It's a 5 terabyte external hard drive that Laura has put all of the Zoom meetings on, and we'll continue to put the meetings on because it's 5 terabytes. We'll probably get 3 or 4 years worth of Zoom meetings. And then eventually we'll put those Zoom meetings on the website.
Okay. So the total amount for that is $110.24 that was spent. We want to reimburse Teresa for that. So I make a motion that we approve the reimbursement of the $110.24.
I second that.
No, this is okay.
Okay. All right.
Who seconded?
That was John.
John.
Okay. All righty. So Teresa, you want to call the roll then?
Yes, just a moment.
Thank you.
Jasmine, I can't see who's here or not, so.
Yeah.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit, has Dorit left?
It is gone.
Dorit left.
Okay, Dorit.
Oh, darn, do we have quorum?
We do.
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Dolores?
Is where we be.
Dolores?
Yes.
Dolores is a yes. Raheem?
Ineligible.
Oh. So Taylor? Is Taylor still here?
Yes.
Taylor is a yes. Charlie?
Is ineligible.
Oh, it's ineligible. Gosh. Well, Paul's absent. Carlos is absent. Laura?
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Hugo, I don't know if he's eligible or not, but I know he's absent. Paula?
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Carla is absent. Isaac is absent. Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Hugh is absent. Teresa is a yes. Michael is absent. Chris is absent. Gregory?
Yes.
Greg is a yes. Nancy?
Nancy has left.
Nancy.
She is absent.
Okay. Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah is yes. Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie is yes. John?
Yes.
John is a yes. I had 10.
Wow.
What? Okay, I have
I think-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 11. But we'll compare after. Not to
I just want to
worry.
say thank you very much, Raheem, but I cannot use this anymore. I'm sorry. I've been trying all evening. I cannot use this Excel sheet, Raheem. Thank you, though.
Okay. All right. Are there any budget adjustments, or can we move on from treasurer?
No, we're done. We're done.
Okay. Secretary's report would be the August minutes.
Am I supposed to say something?
Well, can you share your screen? I'm gonna if I make you co-host.
Sure. I'll just take it out of the drive.
Okay. Well, I can try that. I have not myself tried it before, but let's.
Okay, I have it.
Okay, great, because I don't. Thank you.
Okay, so if you're going to share with me.
Do you know how to do that?
No.
Okay, I can.
Actually,
Let me try. Let me just try. I'll see if I can do it. Might be easy.
Share screen. Okay, share screen. Hold
you
on
got it?
Yes, I think so. Just give me a second.
Perfect.
I didn't know that I was going to have to do that. No, I don't want to do it. I'm just being honest. I don't want to do it.
That's okay. I will do it. I'll figure it out. Okay, so it will be. Tell me if this is gonna work. Maybe it is. Not good. All right. I'm gonna stop the share. I'm gonna do this perhaps the correct way. I'm gonna download it. Sorry, you guys. You know what it is? My computer's also frozen. Do we want to table the minutes, or does anybody have a copy of their own already?
Let me see what
that wasn't included.
I did not. Yeah, I didn't. It's in the packet, but it was not included in the email I sent.
Hold on,
So,
I can share if you want. Just so we get
yes,
this.
please.
My God, what's it called? I don't see.
It's called Draft Governing Board, and then it keeps going. But you see it?
Got it. Yep.
Sorry for the confusion, you guys. We should always say at the beginning of the meeting, please forgive us. Zoom is new.
There we go.
Thank you, John. Teresa.
Yes, Laura.
You get to run through this, or we can just run through it. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
30 seconds.
Yes.
I'll do 30 seconds per page. How's that?
Perfect.
Maybe 15. Okay.
I love this format, Teresa.
Thank you.
It is very nice. Thank you.
Can that be put in the chat so I can print it?
Packet.
It's in the packet, Dolores. Yeah. It's also in the Google Drive. If you go into the secretary.
But here's what I will do. Here's what I'll do, you guys. I mean, we need to approve. Well, we don't have to, but we should approve this tonight. But I can email it to everybody too afterwards.
No, you don't. You don't have to table it. I just want a copy. I'm
yeah,
fine.
No, I'm saying we'll vote tonight, but I'll still go ahead and email it because we have board members who are not present. So I'll email it to everybody afterwards. Either way.
Charlie's hand is
So
up.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay, Charlie's hand is up. Charlie?
Sorry, I had technical difficulties.
Accidental
quick
hand
question.
raise? Okay.
No, it actually was an intentional one. I just couldn't unmute myself. I'm listed as absent and I was there, but I was late. So I don't know if I'm counted as absent if I'm late or not, but I just wanted to say that I was there, but I'm on the absent list. But I was late I wasn't there for roll call. So I just wanted to ask.
Can you give us clarification on that, Laura, please?
Yeah, what you would normally do is something like absent at the beginning of the meeting, present at and state a time. With Zoom, it's kind of hard for you to know the time.
Well, like today when people showed up, I tried to make a note, but regarding the minutes, you want...
Well, if they weren't absent the entire time, whoever it is, they should not be shown as absent at the top. So there should probably just be one more category of late, I guess.
Okay, well, the roll call is done at a certain time, and at that time, it's a snapshot of that moment in time. But if you want another category, I guess underneath we could put, an asterisk.
Well, because I think the point is, for purposes of voting on the minutes themselves, if a person came 20 minutes after you took roll call, they're still allowed to vote on the minutes if they were present for the time. So I think we can discuss the protocol of that at exec, I guess. But I think the normal thing is if somebody comes late, they just are shown as arriving late. So maybe at the top they're absent and then they arrive late.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. With Zoom, it's really much harder than when it's in person.
Any other changes anyone sees?
What, John? John, you said something, but I didn't hear it.
Oh, I said any other changes that anyone sees? I see no hands. I move to approve the minutes as presented with the addition of Charlie Papp as arriving late but attending the meeting.
I second.
Okay, moved by John, seconded by Paula to approve the minutes. Dolores, I'm not going to ask you. Do we do a BAC for approval of the minutes, or is that one we can raise our hands?
Don't remember.
Well, let's just. What do you guys think, Teresa? What do you think? Do you want a BAC to approve your minutes each month?
I don't know, Laura.
I don't think we did a BAC.
I don't think we did either.
Raise your hand.
Just raise your hand. Let's just raise our hands. All in favor, please raise your hands.
I do have the form set up if we decide to do it. I do have
right. And if you were absent, you may not vote.
Oh, well, take my hand down.
Sorry, because you weren't there to verify. You can't verify.
Right.
I don't recall ever doing a BAC for the minutes.
I don't recall doing BAC either, but then again, why would I remember? I wasn't on executive.
I see 9 votes plus Laura, that's 10.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
I mean, there we go.
It's late because I have the video off and I literally raised my physical hand.
Okay. So it's 11. It becomes 11. But no, Lizzie, you have your yellow hand up.
I got you, Lizzie.
Yes, but I also raised my physical hand and I see my baby picture in there. So it doesn't matter.
Okay. I think we are done with that. I assume everyone would scream and yell if there's a lot of committee updates.
Yes.
because it's 10:18. So I'll offer it. Are there any committee updates? But just understand that you'll get a Zoom glare probably, but I don't want to stop you from giving a committee update, whoever you are. Planning and zoning has no updates.
Housing element, that's it.
Yeah. So seriously, are there any committee updates? Because you do have a right to make an update. It's on the agenda. I still see a lot of hands up. Teresa? Oh, my hand's still up, for God's sakes. Okay.
No, I don't have a committee update, but I do, I request a personal point of privilege, if I may.
Sure.
I was not trying to, listen, elections have consequences. You're the president. However you want to run the meetings is fine. If there are rules, or in the case of the election for the committee chairs, the appointment, if I suggest something that is not in the rules, then you can just say, that's not in the rules. That's not how we do it. And if I so choose, I can say, well, I want to make a motion. I can try to get a second to change it. But you can certainly and should have said, hey, that's not how we do it. I'm the president. I want to select the committees like this. And then, it can play out from there. But I feel like I didn't follow the rules, and maybe I overstepped the bounds. I was just frustrated, and there wasn't a lot of consistency on how we were appointing these things. But I just want to say that I respect your position as president. You have the right to lead the board the way you want, because elections have consequences. So
okay, thank you. Well, the way I want to lead the board is by leading, not dictating anyway. So if it seemed that there was some consensus that we should have the person present self-nominating. So I was good with that. Paula?
And I just wanted to agree with that. That gave us some order, and we seemed to move along much more smoothly. So that was fine.
Right.
Can we move on?
Can we go home now?
Yes.
Hand up. Oh.
If there are no committee reports and updates, yes, we may adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. 10:21.
Yeah.
We were hanging on to quorum by a thread for about a half hour.
Yeah, no. Yes, thank you to everyone. and I don't know, how do we shorten these meetings? I have no idea, because we're doing really good work. So when you do really good work, it takes time.
Yes. You can stop the recording now, Laura.
Okay, that's a good point.